All right, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Thursday night live stream after the Thursday night football game between the Arizona Cardinals and New Orleans Saints. But that's not what we want to immediately talk about. Of course, we want to talk about the fact that Christian McCaffrey just moments ago was traded to the San Francisco 49ers, huh? How about that information? I'm just sitting there, just patiently waiting for Alvin Kamara to score any semblance of fantasy points. Just looking at my fantasy teams, wondering, when is this guy going to score a touchdown? And then all of a sudden, I get the notification on my phone that, boom, we have ourselves a situation where McCaffrey is being traded to the San Francisco 49ers for 2023 second, third, and fourth round picks, along with a 2024 fifth round pick. I mean, quite frankly, if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, that's the way you figure it out, right? I mean, that's the way you approach it and send it. I know a lot of people in the chat were already asking a little bit a moment ago, did the 49ers get fleeced? Who won this trade? It's a matter of, obviously what the Carolina Panthers do with those picks. If those second, third, fourth round picks don't end up to be anybody for them, then it doesn't make a difference, right? At this point, they look like they're in a fire sale, just like how Cameron just said it. Sorry, Cameron, I just yoinked that from your comment. And quite frankly, I'm just waiting for DJ Moore to be traded now. Obviously, after this interesting information, we immediately pivot to the idea that if in fact you have an available open spot on your team, I would be probably picking up Donta Foreman, Chuba Hubbard. If I was to pick one, it's probably Foreman, just off of the idea that he seems like he was brought in for this exact reason. If anything was to ever happen to Christian McCaffrey, he would be the next man up. That being said, Chuba Hubbard is a younger running back. He could be the back of the future per se. I doubt that's going to probably be the case. They're going to have to address running back eventually. Now they no longer have Christian McCaffrey. But at this point, Donta Foreman, in my eyes, seems to be the guy that would be picking up the workload. And their upcoming schedule, I don't love it. But again, you could have an RB3 on roster if he falls into the end zone, could be of value. Just depends on what the heck this Carolina Panthers team is looking for. It seems to me now more than ever, it is relatively clear that they are tanking to try to get the number one overall pick in the draft. So as to whether or not they'll be scoring points on a weekly basis, that is a completely different conversation, because they're probably going to put Sam Darnold under center for the next, foreseeable future here and try to let it rip. Either way, we'll get into all my thoughts regarding that in just a moment. I want to thank you guys for joining us on this Thursday night live stream after a very interesting Thursday night football game. Of course, if you guys are just joining us, be sure to go ahead, click the like button down below. I know it takes 2 seconds and it takes very little effort from you guys, but it certainly helps out the channel a bunch. You may think a couple likes here and there isn't going to make a big difference. I can assure you it is all the difference. So if you guys could go ahead, show me support via the like button, would be greatly appreciated today. All right, so for the next hour plus, I'm going to be here answering questions, of course. We'll get there. A lot of people are asking, what the heck are we doing with Elijah Mitchell? What are we doing with Jeff Wilson Jr.? What is going on? I don't know how they want to use Christian McCaffrey. My expectation, first and foremost, for this week is I don't think that Christian McCaffrey even plays. Again, it's practically Friday, guys. Okay, Christian McCaffrey, if he's hearing this information, he's on the East Coast. He's in Carolina. I mean, there's no way until tomorrow morning he gets on a plane, flies over. There's no way he's playing by Sunday. So Christian McCaffrey is probably a sit this week because he'll see very limited touches. He's not familiar with the offense, even if he plays. So we're still okay rolling with the idea of a Jeff Wilson Jr. this week. But as for the value for Elijah Mitchell going forward, I don't know how they want to use Christian McCaffrey. They may just use him as a slot receiver, just naturally. Right? Can you just imagine? I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. Christian McCaffrey with a fullback in front of him. I haven't seen that in a long time. Very interesting to say the least. So let me think about this, okay? So the most important parties at hand, okay? Christian McCaffrey's value. If he's going to be the starting running back here in any capacity, he's going to have, a better offensive line, a better offensive coordinator, and a better team that'll probably put him in better positions to score. Now, as to whether they're going to be more garbage time opportunities for him to catch 9 passes in a game, I don't know if we're going to be in that realm of possibility, especially considering you got Kittle, you got Debo, you have Ayuk, you have other running backs in this backfield. We're going to have to wait and see how they want to utilize him to the maximum capacity. That being said, the other running backs in this 49ers backfield, I mean, they're handcuffs at this point. So if something happens to McCaffrey in the coming weeks, you can utilize them as handcuffs. But outside of that, they're handcuffs. I think if they want to utilize Christian McCaffrey in the role of being I'm going to catch the ball 6 times out of the backfield, it's going to hurt everybody, right? Because predominantly out of this backfield, we very rarely see anybody catch the ball. Kyle Juszczyk is the leading back in terms of receptions out of this backfield this season. And that's not by accident, it's by design. They don't like to target their running backs. They don't really want to utilize them in that manner because they can rely upon, Kyle Juszczyk to be a pass blocking threat out of the backfield on third down and also be able to catch the ball. So, oh man, a lot of things to take into account here. Christian McCaffrey's value, I mean, we're not trading him. We're not trading, at this point, it's actually interesting if people would want to get off of the Christian McCaffrey boat at this point after this trade. These are the questions. Very, very early and raw reactions for me at this point. On the other side, when we're talking about the Carolina Panthers, again, I looked at their schedule just a little bit earlier before the stream began, guys. And they take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend. So, D'Onta Foreman, again, are we going to play him against Tampa Bay? Probably not. Perhaps if you're in a desperate situation, you could. Then they get the Falcons, the Bengals, the Falcons again, then the Ravens, then the Broncos. Really, those are not easy matchups. The Ravens, the Bengals, they're pretty stout against the run. Primarily, the Falcons really haven't given up much in terms of, statistics to opposing running backs thus far this season. So ultimately, I'm thinking to myself, even if you get D'Onta Foreman, Chuba Hubbard, we may not see actual immediate value from this offense, considering everyone's just going to stack the box and make whoever the opposing quarterback is try to beat them. So really, until we get to December, where they play Seattle, Pittsburgh, Detroit, that 3-week stretch from December 11th through December 24th, those are the only times that I'm kind of sitting here thinking, yeah, we could probably get them some utilization. But until then, it's going to be a build-up to see, if Foreman can hold that job and whether or not Chuba Hubbard is going to be the man. Man, very, very interesting to say the very least as of today. Wow. Did not expect that to occur. Of course, we had heard rumors earlier this week in regards to Christian McCaffrey being implicated with the Rams and the 49ers, and obviously the Rams don't have any picks. So the 49ers emptied their entire clip and went after him. Does this bump Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, listen, the way that Jimmy Garoppolo was having to throw the ball, 40 times last week, of course this is going to help Jimmy Garoppolo if they're going to continue to do the same. The ability to have a running back where you can dump it off to and he can go for 40 yards and at the end of the game, just off of 6 catches, could come away with 90 receiving yards, that only is going to help the quarterback there. Right, that's always been the argument as to what Christian McCaffrey has done for his quarterbacks over the last couple of years. It's just padded their stats on a weekly basis. So this certainly could help him going forward. But Jimmy G really isn't ever asked to be that guy every single week against the Kansas City Chiefs this week could be something. But I don't even know if Christian McCaffrey is even playing this Sunday. It's quite, in my opinion, too early to even kind of project, considering again, it's Friday. They got a Sunday game. Most likely not going to play. I know the running back position is different. You don't really have to, know much of the playbook if you're only going to be used on certain packages. But ultimately, it's probably unlikely that he even plays this weekend. Wow. Very interesting, huh? All right, let's talk a little bit about this Thursday night football game. First and foremost, Benjamin was incredible. I mean, averaging 7.7 yards per carry. Why didn't Benjamin do that against the Seahawks? That's my only primary question. Where was when we needed him on Sunday? And then all of a sudden he wants to go ahead, get injured in that game, then take a short week to then go off against the Saints. Absolutely just bonkers to me. Kyler's obviously too busy thinking about Call of Duty to do anything in terms of his fantasy production. DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, what can I say? DeAndre Hopkins is DeAndre Hopkins, guys. That's what we expected, right? 14 targets, 10 catches, 103. In a PPR, it's a machine. In a half PPR, he's a wide receiver 1, right? Like, I mean, that's what we're expecting henceforth. Everybody else in this offense, I mean, brutal. Benjamin was the only, relevant option. The fact that Greg Dortch going to touchdown, and so did what's his name, Keontae Ingram. Very unsettling night for us who had Rondell Moore rolling out there, for those who had potentially Zach Ertz, completely non-existent, just like Joseph said, right? And hopefully it's not going to persist, but it just may. We don't know what this offense is going to look like now that DeAndre Hopkins is back. It may just be the DeAndre Hopkins show going forward, and I wouldn't be surprised because that's how it was prior to him arriving, in 2020, 2021. As for the Saints, I mean, Andy Dalton coming away with 361 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns. I mean, what is that? I don't even know what the heck to explain that with. Alvin Kamara, whatever. I mean, I just don't know. I don't get it. I've never seen such an incredible player be underutilized to the capacity in which Alvin Kamara has been. FF, we'll get to your question in just a moment. I appreciate the donation. It's very generous of you. But at this moment, Chris Olave is the only shining star in this offense as the guys that we would have potentially even played. Luckily, Taysom Hill got into the end zone for those of you who played him. So as of right now, the only thing that from this game we took away from it was DeAndre Hopkins is good and Chris Olave is good. Done. End of conversation. We're moving on. Okay, let's see here. FF had sent in a question. I appreciate that, FF. That's very generous of you. Again, guys, if you want to send in a donation, you're more than welcome to. Definitely supports the channel, but you don't have to. Again, I'm going to be answering questions for the next hour plus here in order to help you guys out. It's just a matter of, like, if you want your priority and, of course, you're trying to show some love to the channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you, FF. All right, standard. First place. Okay, you're currently in first place. Your quarterback is Josh Allen. Wide receivers are Mike Williams, A.J. Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquise Hollywood-Brown, Wan'Dale Robinson. My running backs are Henry, Chubb, Kenneth Walker, Mostert, Kieran Williams, and my tight end is Bellinger Hurst. Wavering for Schultz. Okay. Rest of the way moves, trades. Pick one, Giants or Miami defense. If I'm picking a defense for this weekend, it's going to be the Miami Dolphins defense. Yeah, that's probably where I would go with, regardless of whether it is Trubisky or Pickett. I have them higher ranked this week. All right, so moves to make. I think that picking up Schultz is perfectly fine, just to kind of see if he's got anything left in the tank. I know his injury is obviously going to continue to bother him. As for moves that you can make rest of the season, I don't want to move Henry, Chubb, or Walker off my team. Those are 3 primary guys I want to keep. I'm keeping Mostert under the idea that he's going to fill in for bye weeks. Outside of that, I mean, this is a perfect representation of what a standard team should look like. You don't really need to worry about receptions, especially even at wide receiver, because you have, A.J. Brown, Mike Williams, who are touchdown fiends. Marquise Hollywood-Brown being out for just 4 weeks isn't going to be a big deal. He'll come back and be perfectly fine for you. I don't know if there's really much for you to do in terms of moves. Obviously, I'd love to see something, a little bit better at tight end, but quite frankly, you don't need to break the piggy bank, which is, your other prospects, to go out and get another tight end, because you are in a standard position of not really needing a tight end to carry your team. You can live with that one. I've played a plethora of leagues where you can go ahead and win a championship with a 4-point tight end. I've done it, and I'll continue to do it because that's just how the entire kind of landscape functions at this moment. So I don't think you need to make any moves. If you would like, obviously you can pivot in the direction of trying to upgrade Mike Williams and move Mike Williams and maybe Marquise Hollywood-Brown and try to go get somebody else. You could certainly try to do something like that, but again, in a standard scoring format, you're going to have to go after somebody that is a touchdown fiend of some extent, right? Or is going to get consistent yardage. It's going to be tough to go ahead and get those guys anyway off of someone's roster. I mean, if you can move Mike Williams and get T. Higgins, I'm all for it. That's kind of where I'm immediately thinking as of right now, FF. Thank you. Andrew, would you trade away Jalen Waddle for Aaron Jones? I probably wouldn't, no. I think Jalen Waddle is set for a really good rest of season push here, Jared, to be totally honest. Foreman or Hubbard? I honestly prefer Foreman. Now, as to who they prefer, okay, let me just kind of give you guys an indication, okay, as to how I've come to my conclusion in that suggestion, okay? Let's go ahead and I'm going to go to the Carolina Panthers right now. So the Carolina Panthers, okay, in terms of snap counts, this is what we have seen. Donta Foreman this season, okay? 13%, 5%, 7%, 8, 4, 23, okay? So he's played 31 of the 300 and something total snaps. Chuba Hubbard has played 30 of the 300 and something total snaps. They have pretty much played identical number of snaps thus far this season. So, do one of them have an edge over the other in that regard? Quite honestly, no. They don't. So, where do we go from that point? Okay, who's had more rushing attempts in this backfield? Chuba Hubbard has had 6 rushing attempts for 34 yards this season, has seen 1 target out of the backfield. D'Onta Foreman has had 12 rushing attempts out of this backfield for 37 yards. So, that's the only reason why I'm leaning in the direction of D'Onta Foreman. He has seen more opportunity. Even with Christian McCaffrey in the lineup, he has been the guy that they prefer to bring in as the change of pace back to be the hard-hitting backfield monster that he is shown to be, especially last year with the Tennessee Titans. So that's why I'm leaning in his direction. Now, of course, he's he's on a 1-year deal. They could lean in the direction of Chuba Hubbard, but as of right now, from what they've shown us, the assumption is that Foreman would pretty much pick up the allotted opportunities out of this backfield, specifically in the running game. Now, as whether he's not, a receiving threat, that's a different conversation. I don't think Chuba Hubbard is catching the ball 8 times out of the backfield on 9 targets. We're not seeing that. This is going to be a completely shift in the offense as they're leading away from the idea of featuring a running back like the way they have done in years past. Okay, let's see here. My Hill and Kamara combo is kind of nice. I mean, yeah, Tyreek Hill's a monster. Let's see here. Okay, let me scroll back up really quickly. All right, I see a bunch of you sending questions. I appreciate that. Thank you for showing love in that regard. Thoughts on Tyquan Thornton as a wide receiver 1 for the Patriots? I doubt that's going to be the case. Now, I would love to see that be something more solidified as the weeks progress, but I don't know if we'll get there as quickly as you may assume. Again, it is mainly going to be, Jacoby Myers as the wide receiver 1. Devontae Parker will continue to be, their outside number 1 threat. And then Tyquan Thornton could be their Swiss Army knife, running the ball, catching the ball, and going forward. So with that Swiss Army knife kind of role, he's far more volatile because he may not see as consistent amount of touches as or even opportunities in terms of targets in comparison to the other guys. David Gutierrez says, hey, what's up, bro? Would you trade Kelsey for Saquon straight up? I have Kelsey and Kittle. My running backs, I have our Cook, Wilson, and J-Rob. Yeah, I would make that trade, absolutely. Give me Saquon 1,000% there, David. You have a tight end that's going to fill in. And quite frankly, even if you didn't have a tight end there to fill in, I would still be very confident with this move that you're making. Because then at that point, you have Cook and you have Saquon, and you at least have 2 solidified running backs. They're going to help you for the rest of the journey here. But yeah, the fact that you have Kittle makes it that much more of a solidified move that you should absolutely be making there. Thank you. Not the Foreman going to go crazy. I don't know about that. Christian Cressy is great. Yeah. Just drop Drake for... Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fine. Look, I don't know what the heck Drake is going to even do. The assumption is that if Dobbins, the fact that he hasn't practiced this week, leans me the idea that they're going to be using Drake, Justice Hill, eventually when Dobbins is ready to go, eventually when Gus Edwards is ready to go. So yeah, I don't mind that swap at all in any capacity. What do you think about Kamara? Should I even think about trading him? I mean, what are you going to trade him for though? That's the question, right? That is the biggest question. At this point, he hasn't scored a touchdown, and you may have to just sit on your hands and just wait until he figures it out, until you can finally trade him to something that actually is worth his value, because we know he's not just name value. He has, a lot of value out of this backfield. It's just a matter of the offense just not looking in his direction, especially when they've gone down to the red zone and the goal line as of late. Trade Sutton for Godwin. Yeah, I'd 1,000 be comfortable. Yeah, 1,000% I'd be comfortable with that, Ulysses. Thank you. I feel like Christian McCaffrey is going to suck with the 49ers, says Ryan. Maybe. We never know. Again, we are only assuming as to what we're going to see. Now, what we do know, right, Ryan, is that Christian McCaffrey is a good athlete. And if you put him behind better offensive line, he probably gets even better, And if the scheme and everything is kind of tilting in his favor, I don't see why not, especially in an offense that can set him up for success, whether it's out of the backfield or even lining him up out wide. Could be a lot of success there. They love their, yards after the catch. Why not go ahead and do that with McCaffrey, right? All right. Let me go ahead. Had a bunch of donations kind of roll in here. Let me just address these real quick. Eric sent in a question. Thank you very much, Eric. Eric says, Thornton or Myers this week in a half PPR. I feel a little bit more comfortable with Myers because I have a history with him, and I know that he's going to be on the field for the entirety of that game. Jay Polo says, Curtis Samuel, D'Onta Foreman, rest of season. If I had to drop Curtis Samuel, yeah, I mean, listen, if you're in need of a running back, you should make that. Absolutely. if you're in need of a running back, that should be something that you should be 100% without even thinking about committing to. Hey, I need a running back, even though he's probably going to be in that fringe RB3 conversation. I need someone that could at least get me, a semblance of points when I need an RB2 if I'm thin at the position. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. Michael Barton says, start Gallup or Alec Pierce this week. At this moment, let me go check my rankings. Where's my Excel sheet here? All right, let's go. Let's open this sucker up. Where did I have... Because I know I updated my rankings earlier today for Patreon. As of right now, I have Alec Pierce at 28 and I have Michael Gallup at 29. I'd keep it as such. Thank you very much, Barton. Brett Wright says, in Dynasty, trade Stevenson for Elliott, a 25 second. So you're going to trade Stevenson for Ezekiel Elliott and a 2025 second round pick? No. Just keep Stevenson. Because I'm expecting Damian Harris to go bye-bye real soon and Stevenson to continue to be that maintained RB1 for this team. So, no, I don't want to invest in Zeke or a 2025 second-round pick. Ventru says, should I trade Kamara and Sutton for Christian McCaffrey? I think you're giving away too much, in my opinion, in a full PPR scoring format there. Sweezy says, Ramondre Stevenson, Bateman, Dulich for Godwin, Schultz, and ETN. Bateman, Dulich, Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. Again, the whole idea is that I'm on the Ramondre side. What does that mean? Sweezy, are you trading for Ramondre or are you trading away Ramondre? That would be a better indication instead of saying I'm on the Ramondre side, because I don't know which side you're hauling in. You know what I mean? All right, again, I will mention this. The RB1 expected to be for Carolina right now is Dante Foreman. If you have an available RB spot on your bench, go pick him up. Foreman, Foreman. So just look him up in the search bar, whether it is ESPN, Yahoo, NFL.com, any of those, pick him up. Let's keep it moving. Let's see here. Stevenson or Amari Cooper in the flex. I mean, I'm still good with Stevenson, even if Damian Harris plans on playing this upcoming week. Obviously, he's a little bit lower valued, but I'm still perfectly fine there. What does this say? Love the content, Andrew. Full PPR. MCM, you mean Christian McCaffrey, CMC. Okay, you typed it wrong. It's okay. For Stevenson and Lamb, are you just sending away Christian McCaffrey and you're going to get back Lamb and Stevenson? I don't know if I want Stevenson right now, to be totally honest. I think I'm looking to trade away Stevenson in a lot of capacities. So bringing him in, I understand that he's still going to have value rest of the season. He's not going to be as good as he was last week. It's not going to be like that for much longer because Damian Harris is already fully practicing. So I'm of the opinion that I don't want to bring in Stevenson unless, I don't know if I want to do that at this point. Okay, a couple more donations that were sent in. Did Sweezy send in a message? Let me see if he responded to what I was saying earlier. Sweezy, where you at, my man? I have Ramondre. All right, beautiful. Thank you. So if you have Ramondre and you're bringing in Godwin, Schultz, and ETN, I'm perfectly fine with that. Yep, we're good to go there, Sweezy. Thank you. Thomas says, I ended up trading Christian McCaffrey earlier this week for Jamar Chase, DeAndre Hopkins, and Patterson. How do you feel about that? I mean, that's a fantastic trade. Why wouldn't you make that? Again, like we've mentioned, Jamar Chase, tops probably 7 in his position. I think DeAndre Hopkins could very easily be top 12 at his position. Again, barring he stays healthy and continues to see, a consistent amount of workload going in his direction. And when Cordero Patterson comes back, we're expecting him to be the RB1 undoubtedly. Getting himself probably upwards of 13 rushing attempts a game, maybe in that 10 range probably, and obviously being the goal line back. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that 3-for-1 there. Nick sent in a question, said pick 2 for the flex options PPR, McLaurin, Gallup, Wan'Dale Robinson, Alec Pierce, or Stevenson. Okay, so of the available options that you've mentioned, this week in a full PPR, I really like still playing Stevenson against the Chicago Bears, even with Damian Harris coming back. I think both of them will be able to thrive in this offense, especially against that defense not being able to stop the run this year. And then the follow-up option probably, in my opinion, is going to be McLaurin there against Green Bay. Michael Barton says, should I start Drake in week 7? What are your other options, Michael? Let me scroll up. What was your earlier question? So your other question was for the flex, and then you're asking, should I play Drake? Now, Barton, would that be in regards to potentially playing Drake over one of those 2 options, specifically Alec Pierce, like I mentioned earlier? That would be the primary question in my eyes. Let's see here. Where are we at here? Okay, so follow-up question. Manny R says, drop Darrell Henderson or Brian Robinson for Dalton Schultz on the waivers. I probably wouldn't do either, no. I would like to keep both those running backs. Again, running back is super vital to have in terms of an immense amount of depth going into the season. So at this point, I'm keeping those two running backs there. The real G squared, thank you very much for the donation. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for the one up. Appreciate it. Dink says, choose two: Hines, Foreman, Chark, Tyquan Thornton. If I'm picking out of this group for this week specifically, I don't think Chark is playing. And I don't know if I really want to play. I think I might just be playing Tyquan Thornton and Hines this week against in our week 7 matchups there, Dank. Thank you. CB says Jimmy Garoppolo, a good streaming option this week. I mean, look, so I'll go ahead and mention this again because I think there's a pretty good amount of you in here. First and foremost, thank you for joining us after this Thursday Night Football game. Again, there's a lot of chaos going on in regards to Christian McCaffrey. I'll just go ahead and bundle it up once again for those of you who haven't heard my opinions on the matter. Christian McCaffrey, I'm expecting him not to play this week. Even if he does, there may be a limited capacity in which he's utilized. Again, it's Friday. They play on Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs. It is a legitimate game, and yes, he is still capable of getting himself some touches out of this backfield, but I don't even know if he's going to play. We're going to have to wait and see. As to what I'm expecting from Christian McCaffrey, obviously he's in a better team, but is he going to get himself the boatload of targets that he requires to be a relevant back? Maybe he won't need that if the running game portion of his entire experience is upgraded because of the offensive line play, because of the lead blocks of Kyle Juszczyk and, George Kittle. You got some of the best blockers in the league in front of you. So obviously, if his running game is going to, incline in terms of points, but we're going to see a little bit of a dip in the receiving game. Obviously, I think overall it's going to be a dip in his fantasy point productivity. As for what we do with Jeff Wilson Jr., as to what we do with Elijah Mitchell in future weeks, they're handcuffed at this point until further notice, until we see how they want to utilize Christian McCaffrey. Because they could very easily bring in Christian McCaffrey and say, you know what, McCaffrey, we're going to use you like we used Debo for the last couple weeks. Give you a couple rushing attempts outside of that. We're going to keep you as a slot receiving option, and that'll be it. We never know. We're going to assume that Kyle Shanahan has a mastermind, plan in place. Either way, in terms of that value, that is separate now. Going forward, I prefer D'Onta Foreman out of the backfield for the Carolina Panthers. I truly don't think that there is a beautiful matchup for them upcoming until we see December, where they play against Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Detroit in 3 consecutive weeks in the month of December. But as of late, they're going to take on Tampa Bay. They're going to have to take on then Atlanta, Cincinnati, Atlanta again, and then they have to take on the Baltimore Ravens. I guess you could play them against the Atlanta Falcons, but quite frankly, Atlanta's been pretty good in terms of stopping opposing number 1 running backs this year. And so have those other teams. They've even been better. In fact, the Ravens and the Bengals and the Tampa Bay Bucks. So at this point, we're kind of leaning in a direction where, yes, we'd be willing to pick up this value, but they're not automatic starts in a given week right now. So hopefully that kind of gives you the context. If you're in need of a running back desperately, go ahead, pick up Foreman, and keep it moving in that direction. Crazy week, huh? I mean, I would love the NFL trade deadline to be as, compact and noteworthy as the NBA trade deadline. It would make it that much more exciting. But man, for fantasy implications, this really leaves us in a position where we're not 100% certain as to whether or not we're going to get a Christian McCaffrey that looks anything even like what he looked like in Carolina. Because again, like I mentioned just a couple moments ago, when you think about the San Francisco 49ers, you never really think about receiving backs because quite frankly, they don't utilize receiving backs. Thus far this season, the leading receiving option out of that backfield is Kyle Juszczyk. 11 targets, 8 catches, 119 receiving yards. We have seen Tevin Coleman with 3 catches on 3 targets, 44 yards and a touchdown most recently. That was 2 weeks back. And then just this last, outside of that, we have Jeff Wilson, 10 targets, 8 catches in the first 6 games of the season for 70 yards. I'd love to see 8 catches on 10 targets in a singular game for McCaffrey, but I don't know if this offense is schemed around trying to get their receiving backs an option in that regard. So it's going to be tough. It is certainly going to be a let's watch and let's learn and let's figure out what the heck they want to utilize Christian McCaffrey as. But overall, for right now, I'm pretty confident in the idea that he's still going to be Christian McCaffrey. It's just at what capacity, we'll have to wait and see. In a PPR, it may take a little bit of a dip here. Gucci Han, Louis Han sent in a donation, says, my guy, do I drop either Mitchell or Jeff Wilson? Do you drop either of them? At this point, At this point for this week, you can utilize Jeff Wilson against the Kansas City Chiefs. The last two matchups the Kansas City Chiefs have taken on, whether it has been Singletary that went for 85 rushing yards on them, or the week prior, Josh Jacobs going for a buck 50 on the ground, they have been suffering in terms of, stopping the run. So Jeff Wilson could be a value this upcoming week. But for future weeks, after McCaffrey's kind of settled in, I would say probably let's hold on to Jeff Wilson, hold on to Elijah Mitchell, because maybe, let's say, for example, we get into a scenario where they want to trade one of these guys. You could end up, seeing one of these guys get traded to another team that is in need of a running back, maybe like the Ravens, and they arrive there and they're off and running. So I would hold for right now. FF says, thank you. I appreciate that, FF, for the compliment. Appreciate that. What does it say? Found you last year. The brain in the beard is magic. I appreciate that. You said OBJ, your thoughts. Okay, so in thoughts for OBJ, I've gone ahead and I've picked him up in all the leagues I believe I can afford to pick him up. I think that OBJ will eventually sign with the team. Regardless of where he goes, he's going to have value. As to whether or not he's a wide receiver 3 or better, I don't know if he's going to even be in that conversation. Obviously, it's going to be a matter of, obviously who the quarterback is. If he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, for example, it's going to be harder for him to make an immediate impact in comparison to going to the Rams, who need him to be there, in comparison to going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he may not be the number 1, 2, or even 3 option within that offense. But if he goes to the Giants, he would immediately be the number 1, right? So as of right now, yes, I'm picking him up. I think there's a lot of talent left in OBJ's tank, and I want him on my team for fantasy purposes the rest of the season. So yeah, I picked him up. Rob Castle says, would you trade Kyler Murray and Dalvin Cook for Christian McCaffrey and Goff, or Matthew Stafford? Quite honestly, I don't know if I want those quarterbacks. I mean, I'm hoping that Matthew Stafford figures it out after the bye week here and his offensive line gets a little bit more of a boost. Am I willing to make that trade? Is Kyler that important in terms of his value? Listen, Call of Duty's about to come out, guys, and I'm not even joking in the idea that he may start, looking less and less like the Kyler Murray of old as the weeks progress here. Man's got to play his war zone. I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, Matthew Stafford is legitimately a liability, and I'm worried about him. And Jared Goff could very easily be in that same scenario. So I'm thinking I might want to just hold there, Rob, to be honest. Level Up says, full PPR. Currently, I'm 3-3. Was sent an offer of Alvin Kamara, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee, and I give up Sutton, Aaron Jones, and Jacoby Myers, and Gerald Everett. Okay. What do we think about this trade? I mean, honestly, I probably just kind of keep what you have. I mean, at this point, the way that Alvin Kamara looks, I think Aaron Jones is kind of on the same pace, right? But I think Aaron Jones probably outplays him this week and hopefully going forward. And then as for Cortland Sutton, I think Cortland Sutton certainly outvalues Robert Woods enough to where I'm not really thinking about the Everett play there going forward as of right now. So yeah, I think I'm just keeping what you have there, Level Up. Anthony sends in a question, says, hey, Andrew, which defense should I pick up for this upcoming weekend? The Bears, Colts, Giants, or Ravens? Of the available, let me check my defensive rankings as of thus far this week. So this is what I had for my defensive rankings this week, okay? I'm just going to go ahead and read it top to bottom because you guys are here and I just, if you're interested. Number 1 is Tampa Bay. Number 2 is New England. Number 3 is the New York Jets. Number 4 is the Dallas Cowboys. Number 5, Green Bay Packers. Number 6, Cincinnati Bengals. Number 7, Baltimore Ravens. Number 8, Arizona Cardinals. Number 9, Miami Dolphins. Number 10, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 11, Giants. Number 12, Titans. So of the available defenses that you mentioned in specific, I would probably play the Ravens there, and then the second best would be the Giants. Appreciate it, Anthony. Thank you. All right, couple more questions that were sent in here that I want to address. Michael Barton says, Greg Dulcich, what do you think about him at tight end? I mean, obviously he scored on Monday night, which was definitely helpful. I just don't know if Russell Wilson's going to be able to continue to go into that direction. Obviously, the offense is very much so surrounded around the idea of having a lot of 11 personnel sets, so he's certainly going to be there as long as Albert Okwuegbunam is injured and out. So again, I don't mind taking a flyer on him. A lot of these rookie tight ends, the younger guys, Cade Otton, Bellinger from the Giants, Dulcich, they're going to be guys that either are going to be very inconsistent like every other tight end, or hopefully can maybe figure it out within their offense and be relevant. So it's one of those options, Michael, where we're just we're picking it up and just waiting and seeing what we can figure out from them. Chris sent in a question, says, drop Jeff Wilson Jr. for Donta Foreman. Thoughts on my PPR starters? We have Ryan, Chubb, Hall, Cooks, Ayuk, Pitts, Mooney, Tucker. Okay, so if I mean, are you dealing with a bunch of bye weeks, my man? Are you starting Matt Ryan this week? You must be dealing with a bunch of bye weeks. And the fact that you're starting Mooney is also another indication that you definitely have bye weeks hitting you hard this week. As for the Jeff Wilson dropping for Donta Foreman, I don't know if I want to make that move just yet. Again, I think Jeff will. I mean, man, I'd rather drop somebody else off your team, to be honest. I don't know if I want to move Jeff Wilson, to be honest, just yet. Especially considering if, in fact, McCaffrey's not going to play this week, you could even flex him for one final hurrah before he's gone. Austin Phillips says, McCaffrey and Kittle for Kelsey and Elliott, full PPR. At that point, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's fine by me there, Austin. Paul sends in a question, says, trade Derrick Henry / Pittman or Barkley / Pittman for Taylor and CeeDee Lamb. At this moment, if I was to make that trade, I would feel more comfortable trading away Henry and Pittman for Taylor and CeeDee Lamb in a full PPR. That's what I would probably feel more comfortable with. I don't think you have to make the move, but I would like to make that move. Yeah, I love that. Also, who do you rank? Also, do you rank Christian McCaffrey below Henry, Barkley, Taylor rest of the season? Yeah, I already had him ranked below them rest of the season. So this just only solidifies that in my eyes. Howard sending a question, says, my team is Christian McCaffrey. Okay, let me go ahead. Before I even get back into some of these donation questions, let me go ahead and catch up with the chat. I know there's a lot of you in here. Again, I'm going to try to answer some questions in the chat right now. If you guys haven't yet already, be sure to click the like button. Greatly appreciate you guys supporting the channel. It may take 2 seconds out of your day, but it definitely makes a huge difference in terms of helping out the channel, in terms of hitting the algorithm strides to let this thing continue to grow. We are very close to 70,000 subscribers. And I know it's tough to go ahead and tell your friends, family to, go ahead and subscribe, because it definitely goes against the idea of potentially helping you win your fantasy league. But if you can go ahead, go to your grandma's Google account, maybe go ahead and subscribe from there, that would certainly help us get to 70K. We greatly appreciate it now, but I'm just kidding. I appreciate the support, guys. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. What do we got? Let me go ahead and scroll up a little bit here. We'll be taking for the rest of the season in order, Hall, Pierce, Fournette, Swift. I mean, this is a long question, man. This is way too long of a question. I'll be here for 30 days trying to, figure that out. Just memorizing who the heck you just asked for. What should I do with DJ Moore? Really sad about his production this year. Wait for him to get traded. If he doesn't, he's a bench guy and potentially eventually dropped. But maybe Sam Darnold figures it out and helps him kind of get some more value. I propose a trade with Tua Higgins and Aaron Jones for Christian McCaffrey. You're sending all of that for Christian McCaffrey. I have Hurts, Keenan, Kenneth Walker to replace. Thoughts? I mean, I don't know what kind of league you're in. Maybe it's a smaller team league, but I would not be sending away. I mean, Hurts, look, Tua doesn't matter here because you have Jalen Hurts. But as for sending Aaron Jones and Higgins for Christian McCaffrey, I don't know if I want to do that, to be honest, just yet. I'm a little hesitant on the matter. Pittman or Sutton for Kupp. If you have enough wide receiver depth to be able to have another receiving option on your roster outside of Kupp, that's not like a complete, waste of a spot. Like if your next best wide receiver outside of Kupp is going to have to be Curtis Samuel, then I wouldn't, jump at this trade. But for right now, I'm thinking, yeah, let's probably look to do this, assuming you have somebody else as another wide receiver option. Let's say, for example, Gabe Davis is your next best receiver, and you can run Kupp and Gabe Davis rest season, then I'd be okay with it. Should I start the Pats or Bucks defense? This week I have the Bucks at number 1, especially considering now Christian McCaffrey's gone. Trade alert. I get Eckler and ETN for Kamara, Swift, and Pollard in a 14-team league. As of right now, my other backs are Walker and Pierce. Trading away Kamara and Swift for, oh my goodness, in a 14-team league, huh? You got a lot of good running backs here for a 14-team league, my guy. I don't know how the heck you managed to do that. Do you accept this trade? As of right now, that's actually a tough question. Because ETN is purely just like a speculatory, like assuming he gets the starting spot going forward. I would probably lean towards the idea, man, I kind of want to take the trade. I kind of want to. I mean, I love Swift. Kamara's been a disappointment. He'll get better. I don't know what Pollard is going to be rest of the season. I think Zeke will probably kind of continue to just dominate the touches out of that backfield. I'm kind of for it, but I think it's probably just safer to keep what you have, quite frankly. I think it's probably safer to just keep these 3. Obviously, this is high risk, high reward, assuming ETN pops off, but I can't guarantee you that that's going to happen with ETN, so I don't want to throw away your season on this singular trade. Let's see here. Christian McCaffrey is playing, but they said he will mainly be used in the red zone. I mean, until I see an actual article that's quoted Kyle Shanahan for saying that, I don't want to, I'm not going to even speculate. Dropped Curtis Samuel for Donta Foreman. Thoughts? I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that. Let's see here. Drop Ayuk for Dobbins. I mean, it depends if you need the running back. I mean, again, Dobbins is probably going to sit on your your bench for a couple weeks here until he gets healthy. But if you'd like to hold him there until he's ready to go, that's fine by me. But I just don't know what your team looks like to be making that kind of a swap as of right now. Why is Denver not on your defensive list? Because Denver is unfortunately at the mercy of their own offense. Their defense cannot consistently make plays because unfortunately their defense is on the field the entire game because they're punting every 3 downs. That's unfortunately the reason why, Tyler. Drake or Foreman? I'd rather have Foreman rest of the way because I know at least he'll have backfield opportunity. Drake will eventually lose his in a couple weeks. Now, if you need a guy just to play for this week, then it's Drake. Drop Akers, not Dotson. Wait, what is this? I think you're probably talking to somebody else there. I got Mitchell and I picked up Jeff because he went to my injury reserve. So I'm not sure what to do now. Joshua, you probably just have to. I mean, now you have 2 backup running backs, quite frankly. Unfortunately, that is probably the case. I mean, look, here's the thing about the San Francisco 49ers backfield. We know that they like to use 2 running backs typically in a rotation. So one of those 2 guys will be of somewhat of value, but we're just going to have to wait and see what they kind of look like. Again, we can speculate as to how much utilization these guys are going to get, but we can't guarantee anything at this moment. Do you like Myers or Lazard this week? I like Lazard far more this week. I think I have Lazard in my number 17 ranked wide receiver into the week. Yeah, so I'm there. Ramondre and Hollywood Brown for Swift. Thoughts? I'm not against it, to be totally honest. I think you should be able to haul in a little bit more, but if your league is relatively sharp, I would be okay with that. Not sure if it will get accepted, but I'm planning to offer Christian McCaffrey owner Mike Williams, Alvin Kamara, and Brian Robinson for Christian McCaffrey. You're going to send all that for Christian McCaffrey? Guys, aren't we selling? I mean, are we? Oh, wow. Oof, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, if you got the ability to replace Mike Williams and Brian Robinson on your team, like you have another stud receiver that's going to fill in there, and you have another running back. I mean, I don't know what the rest of your team looks like, Joseph, but if you can get away with it, more power to you. But man, for a 12-team league, in my opinion, like it would be tough for me to be able to recoup depth, especially if I have bye weeks and injuries that are plaguing me. Bobo Fat says Chuba Hubbard or Donta Foreman. I'm going Foreman. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Foreman and Chuba have pretty much had identical snap counts this year. The only difference is that Foreman has ran the ball twice as much. He has 12 rushing attempts thus far this season, and Chuba Hubbard has only 6. So we're leading in the direction of going and picking up Foreman right now if you have the option to do so. Latavius Murray or Donta Foreman stash? I'd go Foreman there, to be honest. The fact that they said that Melvin Gordon's going to be starting on Sunday and that he had a conversation with head coach Nathaniel Hackett leads me to believe that they've figured it out and that Melvin Gordon's back at being the starting running back. So I'd probably lean in the direction of going Donta Foreman there instead of Latavius, unfortunately, for those of you who went and invested in Latavius this weekend or earlier this week, excuse me. Should I trade Stevenson for Higgins? Yeah, if you have the option to do so, I would. Yeah, I would. I'm perfectly fine with that, especially in a full PPR. That'd make it a little bit more comfortable in my eyes. Trade 12-team league. I have DeAndre Hopkins got offered Lockett and Hunt. Henry, Jacobs, Gordon are my running backs. You have Hopkins and you got offered Lockett and Hunt. Keep Hopkins. I don't need Lockett or Hunt. No, thank you. All right, a couple more donations that were sent in. Howard sent in a question. Howard, thank you very much. Howard Bellows says 10-team league: Kyler, Christian McCaffrey, JT, Hopkins, Cooks, Kelsey, Damian, Eno Benjamin, ETN, A-Rob, Judy, Marquise, Hollywood Brown. We have Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, Darrell Henderson, Foreman, and we have James. Okay, 5-1. Do I trade or do I hold for the moment? I mean, I'm looking at your team, and your 2 starting running backs are fine. Your wide receivers are. I mean, Brandon Cooks as a wide receiver 2 is okay at this point, right? I mean, Marquise Hollywood-Brown will eventually return for you, and you'll be okay in that regard. I think the best way of going about this, considering you have Kelsey, considering you already have Dameon Pierce, is I want to look to try to upgrade that wide receiver 2. Obviously, we've recently seen Allen Robinson kind of take a couple steps forward within that offense, but you could very easily come away with a trade here in which you can maybe sell somebody high. Oh man, you have a lot of good running backs. You don't move any of your running backs. Keep McCaffrey, keep JT, keep ETN, keep Dameon Pierce. You're set there. Keep your tight end, keep your quarterback at this point. But if you can upgrade that wide receiver too, that's the biggest thing. If you want to go after, a Godwin, a Higgins, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably out of the realm of possibility, but if you can go ahead and make an upgrade there, I would love to see that there, Howard. Daniel Delgado sends in a question, says, I'm 2-4. Who should I move or stay? Should I move or should I stay put? My quarterback is Tannehill / Zach Wilson. Yeah, that's already a problem. We're going to have to fix that. Stevenson and Walker, Zeke and Montgomery are my running backs along with Dobbins. We have Kupp. We have Chase. We have Samuel, Michael Thomas, Romeo Dobbs, Freiermuth, and Gesicki. All right, so at this point, you need to get a new quarterback. So I'm probably in your position trying to make a huge move where I don't know who Samuel is on your team. If it's Deebo Samuel, I want to try to move Deebo Samuel and get a quarterback upgrade immediately. You got to go after somebody like Herbert, or maybe even go after someone like Lamar Jackson, someone that you know is going to be at that top end and may have been like kind of slowing down in the last couple of weeks, who are eventually going to get back up to being the guys that we expect them to be. So that, I think that's your immediate upgrade you need to make, because I quite frankly do not believe that you're going to be able to win games late in the season with Tannehill and Wilson, who are both guys that are in run first attacks, who quite frankly aren't utilized much as even quarterbacks who touch the ball every single play on their given team. So that's the immediate thing there, Daniel. KG says PPR, Brian Robinson, Pickens, or Damian Harris this week. If Damian Harris is playing, I'd probably rather roll with him, to be totally honest, out of the bunch there. Thank you, KG. Ray says, Shanahan said they're going to use him in the red zone package. Thoughts? I mean, we're going to have to wait until I see this interview. They're going to use him in red zone packages. I mean, that's some of the most coach speak BS I've ever heard, Now, for this week, yeah, they're going to use him maybe in the red zone package, right? That's fine. Listen, if Christian McCaffrey plays this upcoming weekend, guys, if he's active, okay, he's got a 49ers jersey on and he's ready to go, he's in my lineup, right? I can't not start him. But my whole assumption was that he may not even play this upcoming weekend. But if he's playing, by all means, he's in my lineup. I'm not even countering that idea. Romeo T. Robot says, yo, do you think I should trade Kirk in London for Higgins? I have Sutton and Pittman. Yeah, I would. I immediately would. Kelly Appleton says, I'm in a standard lead. I'm 1-5. We have Barkley and Rashad White as my running backs. We have Patterson on the injured reserve. Damn, we are struggling at running back, huh? I have Jamar, Lockett, and Deontay Johnson as my wide receivers. Trade Jamar Chase for another running back. Yeah, if you can go ahead and move Jamar Chase, get a running back and wide receiver in return, I think I'd be perfectly fine with that, Kelly. Dank says, Robert Woods, Otten, Hardman, playable this week. Are any of these guys playable this week? I don't really trust Robert Woods going up against Stephon Gilmore. Otten this week, I could see him have a decent week against Carolina. I just don't trust it per se. Hardman has had back-to-back weeks of 10 fantasy points, but he still only plays about 40% of the snaps. So he's tough to trust in his own right. So out of the group, probably I would lean towards Hardman, but again, these guys are really not the most playable prospects there, Dank. Christian sends in a question, says, drop Schultz for Hubbard or Foreman. I have Kelsey, Freiermuth already. Yeah, unless you think you can trade away Dalton Schultz at this moment, I'd be willing to go ahead and pick up Foreman there. Jacob Rodriguez says, who am I playing in a half PPR? RB2 and wide receiver 2 and flex running backs. We have ETN, Robinson, and Montgomery. My wide receivers are Mike Williams and Amari Cooper. In a half PPR this week, you're most likely playing. Let me see here. One moment. Where's my flex rankings? Let me just let me compare it to what I have from earlier today for my Patreon. We have Mike Williams. Where the heck is Mike Williams? Mike Williams is there. Are any of these running backs even ahead of him? I believe they are. Where are they? Okay. So, all right. So, yeah, my suggestion out of the group of players that you mentioned would be to play ETN at running back, Mike Williams, a wide receiver 2. Amari Cooper at flex there, Jacob. Thank you. Michael Barton says Drake or ETN as RB2. Or Drake in the flex. Thoughts? At this moment, I'm probably thinking ETN should maintain your RB2 standing. And then if you're playing in a full PPR, I'd be willing to run Alec Pierce in the flex. Otherwise, in a half PPR standard, Drake would go there, Michael Barton. Eric says, all right, Eric, what is this question? It says, got offered Cup/Lamar for Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I would do that. Give me Cup and Lamar rest of the season. Oh, it's a non-PPR league? Yikes. Who else do you have on your team? Can only start 2 running backs. I also have Saquon and Walker, so I'm tempted to do so. I'm actually curious. I don't play in any standard leagues. I kind of want to see what the heck Cooper Kupp looks like in a standard format real quick. One moment, please. Let me go ahead and check. Wide receiver, standard scoring format. McCaffrey. Okay, sorry. Cooper Kupp has 92.8 fantasy points, right? Thus far this season. So he's averaging about 15.5 in a standard format. Christian McCaffrey thus far he's averaging less already. Yeah, let's make the deal. Let's take it. Take Cooper Kupp and take Lamar there. Make the deal there, Eric. Thank you. Azazel says, will Christian McCaffrey still be good? Also, do you think he plays? He'll still be good. As to whether he plays, that's a completely different conversation, right? We're going to have to wait and see. Under what I've been told from you guys, right? If what you guys are telling me is 100% factual, then he's playing this weekend. And if he plays, he's in my lineup. No questions asked. I've got him rolling against Kansas City. Because think about this, right? If he's going to play against Kansas City and Kyle Shanahan is saying, hey, you know what? He's probably going to be our goal line red zone back this week. Great. That's even better for us. But imagine if you get into a scenario where we need 2-minute drill. You think they can't install a 2-minute drill in the next couple days here? I think they can. And when they do, McCaffrey 2-minute drill could be a value there. Denial says Dak Prescott plus Bateman for Trevor Lawrence and Lazard. I have Brady too. So you're basically just trading for Lazard in this manner, right? But that's basically it, right? We're just trading. I mean, if you have Brady and you're never going to start Dak, even though I do think I prefer Dak rest of the way over Brady, if you're just trading this, try to get Lazard over Bateman. I mean, I guess it's okay. I think Bateman could be a value going forward. I just don't know what his injury is going to kind of entail and whether he's going to come back looking like himself or not. So at this point, I mean, I think it's a relatively even trade. I'd probably lean in the direction of thinking, yeah, I don't mind getting Aaron Rodgers' #1 receiving option. Of course, under the assumption that they don't go make any trades for DJ Moore in the upcoming days, which would be nice. I'd love to see the Packers actually get a wide receiver 1. But for right now, yeah, I don't mind that. Let's see here. Meza sends in a question, says half PPR. Should I play Dak Prescott this week? Yeah. I mean, I have him ranked currently as my week 7 number 5 overall quarterback. So yeah, I'm perfectly down to start him and let him rip. Lemire sends in a question, says, what do we do with Debo? Does this affect him? Yeah, that's absolutely going to affect everybody in that offense. As to whether or not he's going to get less receptions, again, it's still a matter of whether the heck we see more targets going in the direction of the backfield. Quite frankly, I think it's going to affect him, certainly, but if this helps the offense as a whole, it could just continue to lead to more points at the end of the day. If you get down to the red zone more often because the running game is far more efficient because the passing game is able to, convert on 3rd and 7s when you're not typically able to because you have a receiving back that you can dump it off to. This could, potentially even help the team as a whole. Trevor Newton says, I picked up both Dak Prescott and Tua Tagovailoa. I really need a good wide receiver. Okay. What is a reasonable trade I could offer for one of them if they have a good week? Higgins, Olave, question mark. I think Olave is probably out of the realm of possibility. Olave is a 15-point guy, from what he's proven in the last 4 games that he's played. 15 points per week, right? Higgins, you may be able to go ahead and catch a fantasy manager that's pissed off, and just catch him off guard and scoop up T. Higgins. Now, again, they're going to have to be in desperate need of a quarterback. And if they're not in desperate need of a quarterback, then I don't know if you're going to be able to haul in as much as you really want out of these potential quarterback options. So you might be having to kind of go for, honestly, if you can go for a Cortland Sutton, I don't mind going for that either at this point. another one of these undervalued guys that, yes, has started pretty well this season. It's kind of tailed off in the last 2 weeks, but certainly is going to get back on track. So I'm kind of looking in that direction. But again, it's going to purely matter on which teams in your league need a quarterback and are willing to make that trade. But I think Higgins and Olave, Higgins is probably the better chance for you there, Trevor. Maz says, my studs are Aaron Rodgers, JT, Kamara, Hall, Justin Jefferson, Mike Williams, Pittman, Higgins, Hendo, Boyd, Sutton. I dropped Heineke for Edmonds as a bench rider. Thoughts? Perfectly fine with that. No problem at all. Markel Adams says, I'm 6-0. Without Elijah Mitchell, no clue what I'm going to do from now on. My running backs are Barkley, Ramondre, Brian Robinson. Do I keep Mitchell? Yes, you should keep Mitchell. I think Barkley, Ramondre, and Robinson will be able to kind of hold you over until you can figure out what the heck Mitchell's even going to be utilized as within this backfield. Again, like I was mentioning, I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers turn around and send a running back over to, obviously they're not going to send it to their neighbor in the Rams because they don't want the Rams to get a running back, but I wouldn't mind another team, or I wouldn't be surprised if another team came out of the woodwork looking for a running back here out of the 49ers backfield. Let's see here. Silver sends in a donation, says, okay, actually, yeah, before we get to Silver, yeah, let's get to Silver real quick. Says, drop Henderson for Foreman. No, I wouldn't do that. I keep Henderson. Could also drop Judy or Brian Robinson. I think I'm keeping all those three options there, Silver. Thank you. Donnie Bravo says, Andrew, I managed to trade Dalvin for Swift after watching your trade target video. Okay, that's good. I'm perfectly fine with that. Feeling good about it. Second half. Also in a PPR, I need a potential flex option this week. Is it Dobbs, Damian Harris, Pickens, or Ayuk? Of the available options, if Damian Harris is playing and he gets another full practice in by tomorrow, yeah, I'm playing him. Thank you. Primate Plays. Thank you very much for the very generous donation. I appreciate it. Says, is Mostert plus Sutton too much for Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jamar Chase? No, absolutely not. Immediately make that trade. Absolutely not. I have Derrick Henry, Saquon, ET. Yeah, no, make that trade immediately. I had to drop Hollywood Brown for Mariota. Listen, if you have the ability to drop Hollywood Brown and nobody in your league picked him up, bro, I think I could offer Hollywood Brown in a trade on top of Sutton and Mostert and get one of these guys back, right? Because Hollywood comes back in 4 weeks. So I don't know. I think you might want to go back and pick him up, quite frankly. Jason sends in a question, says, is Saquon for DeAndre Hopkins and Ramondre Stevenson a good trade? I think I'd probably rather have Saquon rest of the way there. Marquis sends in a question, says, is James Conner going to have to split snaps once he comes back from injury? There's a possibility of that. Yeah, certainly. Again, Cliff Kingsbury at the beginning of last year wanted to use both James Conner and Benjamin. And Chase Edmonds. And he did until Chase Edmonds went down with an injury. And once he went down, then Conner took over. But I think even when Conner comes back, yes, he probably will be splitting some touches here in this backfield henceforth, which is obviously not good for his overall potential and fantasy value. Also, your follow-up question, do I drop London for DJ Moore? At this point, both of them are in really tricky scenarios. Both of the offensives aren't going to accommodate for receiver upside. The only reason I would feel comfortable dropping London for Moore is just under the idea that if McCaffrey's on the trade block, then we know that DJ Moore is on the trade block. All they need is a good enough offer, and they're going to make the trade. So yes, I would pick up DJ Moore there. Frank Grillo. Is your name really Frank Grillo on YouTube? Isn't that the actor that yeah, it's an actor from the MCU. He played Crossbones. All right. Frank says, unless that's your actual name. If your actual name is Frank Grillo and that's the coincidence, that's funny. Dak Prescott or Herbert this week? I have Herbert ranked higher. Thank you. C. Banger says, prior trade started Christian McCaffrey, Barkley, and Kamara at the flex. Now likely to start Brian Robinson versus better options. No running back there. LOL pain. Yeah, it's tough there. My man. Francis Cooley says, drop Brian Robinson, James Robinson, Philadelphia defense for Foreman, or no drop at all. At this point, I'm not dropping Brian Robinson for him. I'm not dropping James Robinson for him. So, I quite frankly, if you have another defense and you're dropping Philly if you have Philly on roster just to be your second defense, then why not make that swap? Why not just add another running back onto your running backs of depth so that if something happens where Foreman actually can be of service, you have value there to even trade or even play. Stinky sends in a question, half PPR. Cook for Najee, Christian Kirk. Wait, Cook for Najee plus Kirk or Gabriel Davis. Do we really want to trade for Najee Harris? You know, look, this is what I'll tell you guys. The other day I had a dream, okay? Like, I think of fantasy so often that I had a dream that Najee Harris went for a monster week this week. Like it was 200 rushing yards kind of a game. Now, again, it was a dream, right? It's not reality. And currently in reality, Najee Harris is not worth that trade. So I honestly, I'm not making that deal. I'm keeping Dalvin Cook there. Phil says, picked up Hopkins before the game. How did you pick up Hopkins before the game? What are we doing, Phil? Man, you should have done that like weeks ago. He should have been drafted. What are we talking about? Either way, yeah, Hopkins looks great. RR Sam says, hello. Hope you're having a good evening. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Says, Josh Allen is on my bench. Should I replace him with Carr, Goff, or Geno? This week, let me check real quick. I have Geno Smith as my number 9 quarterback, and I have Derek Carr as my number 11. So it would be to play Geno Smith against the LA Chargers would be my suggestion there. Thank you. Moving on to the next question that was sent in via donation. Seth East says, full PPR, start 2, Montgomery, Etienne, or Kenyon Drake. Okay, so between those 3, if I'm starting 2 options this upcoming weekend, it's actually going to be Etienne and Drake. I've kind of moved Montgomery down the list as I don't really trust them against Belichick's defense. Where do you think Miles Sanders ends up at the end of the season? Worth keeping him as a solid RB2 or try to move? I think we could perfectly keep him. Again, if you're going to be associated with a 6-0 offense that's only going to continue to run the ball behind one of the best offensive lines in the league, they had themselves an early bye week this week, which goes ahead and gets their offensive line healthy. Again, Jordan Mailata, their all-pro left tackle, he was dealing with an injury. Kelsey's dealing with a high ankle sprain. And we also had Lane Johnson deal with a concussion, left the game early last week. They're all going to be healthy going forward. They're going to run the ball and they're going to kill teams. So I'm 100% keeping Miles Sanders if I can, unless you're going to go ahead and upgrade him for another better option that has more PPR upside in that kind of a format in terms of getting more receptions on a weekly basis. I think I'm probably just holding on. Let's see here. Anthony Ramos says 12-team league full PPR, start Tua, Carr, or Ryan. As of right now, I have Tua ranked highest of the bunch. Thank you there very much there, Anthony. Nathan says, hey, but by the way, really quickly, before we get to Nathan's question, guys, really quickly, on Sunday morning, I'm going to be live streaming like I typically do every Sunday morning. And when I live stream on Sunday morning, I'm going to have rankings available, guys. It's going to be on screen. I have updated rankings for running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback. I even talk about my updated rankings for kickers and defenses on every Sunday morning for 2 hours, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you don't have to send in a donation to get your quarterback question answered. I know I didn't put up a quarterback video today, but I'm certainly going to have quarterback rankings available to you guys on Sunday morning. Now, for those of you who go out and party on Saturday nights and don't have to wake up early on Sunday morning, I 100% believe that, yeah, okay, maybe you get your question answered now before you're completely blackout drunk on Sunday morning. But nonetheless, if you're going to be able to join us. We'll have updated rankings there, and we'll be good to go. Anyway, thank you guys. Nathan sends in a question, says, would you stash Kieran Williams or Gus Edwards if you can afford it? If I'm stashing one of the 2 options, it's probably Kieran Williams. Mainly because I know even when Gus Edwards comes back, it's going to be a committee, right? And I think it'll solidify it more as a committee. If not, would you pick up between the 2? Okay, so if I was going to pick up one, it would be Kieran Williams. As for your follow-up question, I have one spare bench spot. Yeah, listen, Nathan, if you don't have any IR spots in your league, yeah, I'm going to go after the Rams running back because I know there's always a chance for Williams to dethrone Darrell Henderson because anybody can dethrone Darrell Henderson. Sonny Michel did it last year. Akers did it with, an Achilles that was completely busted. So anybody could do it. It's just a matter of coming in and making plays. The issue that I have with Gus Edwards isn't a matter of his skill. It's the fact that he's coming off of an ACL and the fact that he's also coming off of, this entire Ravens offense. It's kind of formulated far differently than what it looked like in seasons past. They're no longer a run-first approach. They're quite frankly we're going to throw the ball, and that's going to be the way we dictate games. Moving on. After Nathan's question, we had Mean the Bush says, would you trade Dameon Pierce for Higgins or Amon-Ra St. Brown? Dameon Pierce for Higgins or Amon-Ra St. Brown. If you don't need the running back depth, I would probably feel really comfortable trading him for Amon-Ra St. Brown right now. Kepler says, is this a good lineup for this week? We have Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, T. Higgins, Nick Chubb, Drake, Kelsey, Lazard. I also have Pierce. Okay, Pierce needs to be starting instead of Kenyon Drake. So put in Dameon Pierce for Kenyon Drake. Oh, no, that's Alec Pierce. My apologies. So You have Alec Pierce. Pollard, and we also Okay, so yeah, no, you keep the lineup as such. You're good to go there, Kepler. Good to go there in a PPR. Thank you. Nathan also sent up a follow-up question. Says, I also picked up Foreman and Chuba Hubbard for insurance. Yeah, you're good to go there. Morph says 12 teams. My quarterback is Geno Smith. We have running backs Barkley and Kamara. We have Mitchell, Jeff Wilson. We have a bunch of good wide receivers. Thoughts on any moves? Okay, so who's your tight end? You have Waller and Ertz. You're fine there. Wide receivers are Evans and Godwin. I don't know if I really want to have both them, but I think you can afford to have both considering they're both going to be relevant. You have Mitchell, you have Jeff Wilson Jr., and you have Kamara. At this moment, I'm probably looking to either bundle them up and trade them for like David Montgomery and hope that somebody takes that kind of a trade, or bundle them up and trade them for Damian Harris. Because at your current position, you're going to need another running back, especially if both those guys end up being backups to McCaffrey. Isaac says 5-1. 10-man league, full PPR. Kyler's my quarterback. We have Eckler, Chubb, A.J. Brown, Evans, Dalton Schultz, and my flex is Mixon. A.J. Brown is on the bye week this week. Who do I play? Ayuk, Dobbs, or Juju? I'd play Ayuk most likely, and then the next best option is Dobbs. By the time we get to Sunday, we could end up switching Dobbs in for Ayuk, but for right now, I'm saying Ayuk. Luis Castillo says, ETN is available in my league. Do I drop Ayuk for him or grab Foreman in a standard league? No, I'd rather pick up ETN. Yeah, you should pick him up. Also, trade Kelsey for Jefferson, full PPR. Yes, I would do that as well. Donnie Bravo says, Kelsey is on a bye in week 8. Do I pick up Schultz or Tunyon? I'd probably rather have Schultz, assuming he's healthy. Marquis sends in a question, says, do I trade Stevenson/London for Evans? I'm okay with that as well. Okay. Phil says, no one drafted him because he was on suspension. That's crazy to me, dude. In every league that I played in this year, he was drafted super early, like round 8. He's coming off the board, and that's DeAndre Hopkins, just his value. Do you still like starting Alec Pierce over Myers, even if I'm starting Pittman? If so, why? Even if you're starting Pittman, I think it depends on the format purely, because I do prefer Jacoby Myers in a full PPR. But if we're talking about a half PPR scoring format, the only reason why, one second. Let me actually check. Where's my full PPR? I mean, my half PPR rankings. Where do we have Myers? Myers at 30, and yeah, Alec Pierce at 28. The reason why I'm of the opinion of being able, the reason why I'd be willing to start both of those options mainly has to do with the idea that I know that the Colts are going to find a way to be down in this game. And when they are, they're going to have to pass the ball for the majority of the contest. And when they're passing the ball for the majority of the contest, Alec Pierce is going to be open. Now, when I look at the matchup between the Bears and, of course, the New England Patriots offense, I'm thinking to myself, the New England Patriots are just going to run the ball the entire game. And if and when they do so, it could very easily look very similar to last week, where Jacoby Myers is very underutilized. Of course, there's going to be opportunities for him to make plays, but he's never going to be the number one in that offense. He's never going to be the priority because the running game is. And the assumption, of course, is also that the priority for the Colts is going to be Jonathan Taylor, but I think they're far more expansive in terms of what they're going to do with their receivers, which gives me a little bit more confidence in that regard. PPR drop Evan Ingram for Gerald Everett, even if Keenan Allen is coming back. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Is this paying low for Christian McCaffrey? Question mark. Josh Jacobs, Carr, and Alec Pierce. Should I make a switch out for Kirk, or should I go in for Damian Pierce? Wait, what? So are you selling Christian McCaffrey for Jacobs, Carr, and Alec Pierce? At this point, I think I'm probably keeping McCaffrey at that point, right? Do we need Carr and Alec Pierce? Like, these are guys that we could find on the waivers, right? Like, similar value can be waiver wire pickups in the coming weeks. It's just a matter of Jacobs versus McCaffrey. And at this point, yes, I love Jacobs, but I don't know if I love him that much. Tunyon or Bellinger this week at tight end? I'd go with Robert Tunyon. Should I make this trade? Debo for Godwin and Alec Pierce, full PPR? Yeah, I'd be willing to make that trade. For sure. Rest of season, Hopkins or St. Brown? I prefer St. Brown. 501 record, full PPR. Trade Aaron Jones plus Curtis Samuel for Zeke and Metcalf. Aaron Jones, Curtis Samuel for Zeke and Metcalf. Your running backs are Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, Darrell Henderson. I don't know if I want to. Look, conventional wisdom would say yes because of the Metcalf portion of that deal. because he'll be far more valuable than what Curtis Samuel puts forth. So conventional wisdom would say, yeah, let's go here. But I'm okay with it. Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. Will Christian McCaffrey play this week? We don't know. Again, the assumption is that he will, because people have said that Kyle Shanahan has said that they're going to play him this week. And if he's going to play this week, then he's in my starting lineup. And we'll get there when we get there. But for right now, as to where I even have him ranked, I have no clue, because it is tough for me to not want to play Christian McCaffrey against Kansas City this weekend if he's playing for the 49ers offense, man. Can you imagine? I wouldn't have thought that he was going to be traded, but the fact that he did is it's incredible. Elliot Thompson's in a question, says Chase Myers Harris for Hurts and Godwin. Chase Myers Harris for Hurts and Godwin. You have Pickett, you have Hall, you have Fournette, you have Deontay, you have Najee, you have Myers. Also picked up Chuba Hubbard. So if you're going to make this trade, and you're going to trade away, I mean, oh man. Trading away Jamar Chase for this, though? Elliot, if there's no other way to get another quarterback, like a relevant quarterback that's in that top 8 conversation, if there's no other way, and this is the trade you have to make, then okay. But like, just showing me like in a vacuum, you're going to trade away Jamar Chase for Hurts and Godwin, I'd rather have Jamar Chase. But looking at your team, the fact that you say you have Pickett as your starting quarterback, that worries me. That worries me to the point that I'm assuming there's no one available off waivers. And if that's the case, then maybe we have to be forced into this move, which I don't like, but maybe it has to be done. Maz says Edmonds or Thornton rest of the season. Thornton. Chase Edmonds is purely just a handcuff. I mean, you can invest in handcuffs. I don't have a problem with it. It's just a matter of whether that's going to help you going forward. If I have Mike Williams as my wide receiver too, do I trade Kupp for Sutton and Pittman this week? And you're 1-5 at this moment? So are we trading away Kupp just off of the... This is what I would say. I would be willing to trade Kupp for one singular good player. Don't give me Sutton and Pittman. Go get, legitimately, go get a top 4 wide receiver. Go get Tyreek Hill. Go get Stephon Diggs. Go get Justin Jefferson. Don't give me two guys that may not have good weeks. I need consistency. And if you have to make a trade where you're moving him because you need to win this week, I don't know if Sutton and Pittman are going to get you that W. I can't guarantee it, but I can assure you that Tyreek Hill will have a pop-off week, right? Because that's just what he does. Drop James Conner and pick up Cam Akers to stash him. I don't know what the heck they're going to do with Akers. I don't know if that's the best deal there. I think I'd probably just hold on to James Conner for now. Raphael says, start one Reynolds, Sony Michel, Melvin Gordon this week, or Boyd. I'd probably start Melvin Gordon because Reynolds is hurt and hasn't practiced this week. Should I drop Russell Wilson and get Tua for the rest of the season? Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. Absolutely fine with that. Amari Cooper or Brandon Ayuk? I play Amari Cooper this week. Again, if you guys check out the videos that I posted earlier today, I dropped a trade targets video in terms of guys that you can go after. On Wednesday night, we posted a wide receiver rankings video, top 36. On Tuesday night, we dropped the running back rankings video. So if you guys have questions in regard to those positions, that could certainly answer your question in order to kind of give you guys some help. Otherwise, you can join us Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be live streaming here on the channel to help you guys out with all of your potential overall, fantasy needs on Sunday in terms of some of the questions you have, injuries, all the implications, all that kind of jazz. There's about 600 of you in here. If you guys could do me a solid, click that like button down below. I know it takes 2 seconds out of your day, and I know maybe I haven't answered your question yet, but I'm trying my best. There's a lot of you and one of me, and I'm trying my very best to give you guys as much of my potential brain capacity as I can before it melts tonight. A couple more donations were sent in here. Sam Corey says, do I trade McCaffrey for Kupp? Yes, give me Kupp. Michael says, in any format, standard, half PPR, full PPR, give me Kupp. Michael says, pick up either of the Panthers RB. Michael, yes, I would pick up Donta Foreman first and foremost. But even if Donta Foreman's maybe gone, I would feel relatively comfortable going after Hubbard just as a stash. Let's see what happens kind of thing. AJ sends in a question, says, all right, I'm getting mixed signals from you. What's your take on the trade? What do you mean? Mixed signals? Bruh, how many times do I have to say it? If McCaffrey's the starting running back of the 49ers, he is going to have less value than he did as the Panthers running back. Because why? He's not going to catch the ball 10 times a game, guys. Purely, that's what it is. And if he was going to get the ball 10 times a game out of this backfield, then perfect. It would be great. But we can't guarantee that. It's not about mixed signals. It's that I don't know what Kyle Shanahan's going to do. So how can I give you advice if I don't know what's going to happen? You know what I mean? I only know off of the experiences of what I've seen in the 49ers backfield and the performances that Christian McCaffrey's put forth. But Christian McCaffrey is a completely different machine. He gets backfield touches out of the receiving game because that's what the Carolina Panthers have liked to run. And they want to utilize and accentuate that skill. But I can't give you advice on what his fantasy production is going to be when I don't know what he's going to be utilized as. Because if he comes in and he's running the ball 13 times a game and he's getting 2 or 3 targets a game, guess what? He's not more valuable than Miles Sanders. Right? So that's the issue. Until we know he's going to catch the ball at a high frequency, it's no longer Christian McCaffrey of old. It's Christian McCaffrey of new, which is a far lesser product if he's not catching the ball again 6, 7, 8 times a game. There's a reason why in the last couple weeks here, Christian McCaffrey has had himself relatively good weeks. It's mainly because they finally started throwing him the ball, even when he wasn't scoring touchdowns. Again, like I've talked about it, the early 3 weeks, right? 13, 14, about 15 points, otherwise 12 and a half. All right. In one of those weeks, scored a touchdown. Then we have a week of 21 fantasy points, 9 total receptions, 9 targets. Then the following week, 7 catches on 12 targets, 8 targets, 7 catches the week after that, 21, 19.9, 19.3. If we're not going to see those numbers in the receiving game, it's not Christian McCaffrey of old. So it's not about mixed signals. It's about, I can't give you 100% indication as to what is happening or what we're going to see out of the backfield. So why lie to you and say that I know what I'm talking about when I actually don't have an idea? Because quite frankly, there's no guarantee of it. I'm not going to lie to you and say I know, because I don't. Jordy says, Lamar Jackson, Sutton, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Pittman, Dalvin, Kenneth Walker, Drake. We have Damian Harris. Okay, you got a lot of running backs here, huh, Jordy? Gus Edwards, Elijah Mitchell. Okay, what the heck is this? What move should I make? I mean, listen, you just named like 40 running backs, my guy. What move should you make? Bruh. Listen, so your primary running backs as of right now are Dalvin Cook and Kenneth Walker and Damian Harris. Outside of those 3, Kenyon Drake, Gus Edwards, Elijah Mitchell, Michael Carter, they're not much value to you. They're handcuffs, right? So you really can't move any of those running backs because really, unless you're going to trade one and try to get like a 2-for-1, nothing you really do there. Pittman, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sutton should be kept as such because those are your 2 starting wide receivers and your flex. Schultz is fine. Lamar is fine. I mean, unless you're going to break the piggy bank, proverbial piggy bank, and try to sell Amon-Ra St. Brown or Dalvin Cook and try to get multiple pieces in return, which I don't really think is something that I'd look to do. Or unless you're looking to maybe trade up, and I don't think you need to do that either. Like if you're going to send like Damian Harris and Dalvin Cook, and you're going to bring back Saquon Barkley or Jonathan Taylor, by all means, please go do that. If you can go ahead and trade away Sutton and bring in Higgins, do that. But I don't know if people in your league are gonna be so willing to make a trade in that regard. The real G square says Pittman and Pickens for Higgins, full PPR. Thoughts? I don't know. I think I have Pittman relatively close in terms of value rest of the season to what I think they have relatively close value. So at this point, between Higgins and Pittman. So if you really do prefer Higgins, I think I just keep what you have. I don't know if I want to make that trade. I mean, I guess I'm okay with it, but I'm not like 100% like bought in on the idea that this is a trade you have to make in that regard. You know what I mean? There were a couple comments here that I saw that I was like, yo, what the heck is going on? Okay. Let me go ahead and scroll up here, see if I can answer some questions here. Foreman, RB1 in Carolina. Quid, yes, he is. Jared says, how will Michael Thomas rank when he's back? I don't even know when he's coming back. So for right now, out of sight, out of mind. If he's on your bench, sure. If you want to invest in him, buyer beware. Who are the running backs for Carolina right now? It's going to be Donta Foreman as the number one and Chuba Hubbard as his backup. Njoku or Kittle this week? I have Kittle ahead of Njoku. Got offered Kupp and ETN for Andrews and Gabe Davis. Should I accept this? My wide receiver one is J-Jet, and I have Higbee. I can get off the waivers. If you're going to get Kupp and ETN, yes, I would do that. Give me Kupp and ETN rest of the season there. Hopkins for ETN, Adams for Pierce. Wait, what? Hopkins for ETN. No, I'd rather have Hopkins. Adams for Pierce. I mean, at this point, if it's a full PPR, just keep me with Adams. Or Olave for Dameon Pierce. Or Olave. Wait, what? Or Olave for... Keep Olave, keep Adams, keep Hopkins. I don't know if I want to make any of those deals, to be honest. Chris, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, well, would you drop Myers for Alec Pierce or Alec Pierce for Damian Harris? If you're in need of a running back, yeah, I'd be willing to drop either of them, to be quite frank with you. I think rest of season, once we get Mac Jones under center, I'm assuming that Jacoby Myers will have more value. As of this week, the reason why I have Alec Pierce over him is just matchup-wise, right? Because Tennessee's secondary isn't great at all in any capacity. So I still do believe that Myers has more value than Alec Pierce. So if I was going to drop someone for Damian Harris, it would be Alec Pierce right now, Nick. 3-3, I just traded Josh Allen, Devonta Smith, and Jamal Williams for Cortland Sutton, Justin Herbert, and Tyreek Hill. What do you think? That's a W trade. Absolute W. Well done. Tyreek Hill coming back is just well done. Does Ayuk have any value now with Christian McCaffrey on the 49ers? Don't know. I mean, my assumption is that yes, he'll be a wide receiver too. As to how much utilization he gets, time will tell. Time will tell. If I'm you right now, I'm selling Ayuk. Just immediate fire sale. Get rid of him off your team. Because I'm thinking to myself, if Christian McCaffrey digs into any receiving work, it could very easily hurt Ayuk. And quite frankly, Ayuk's big week from last week is something that I would typically try to sell anybody on. If you're usually a bench player and you just had a 20-point week, I'm always trying to sell you regardless, right? Chandler Lewis, what do you got here? It says trade question. Do I trade Swift, Ertz for Kelsey? I also have Pierce to move for Swift as my RB2. Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you have a solid RB1 and Dameon Pierce is going to be your RB2, you're filling in for... I mean... I'm trying to think of as to whether I would do that or not. I'm just trying to think in a vacuum. If I've got, like, for example... I don't know. If I've got Fournette and Dameon Pierce as my 1 and 2, I have Swift on the fringe, and I can send him over with Ertz to get Kelsey. I think I'm relatively comfortable just keeping what you have going forward. I know Ertz didn't play well tonight, but I think I'd rather have Swift and just... Okay, you have Olave for flex as well. Listen, you know what the rest of your team looks like. If you think that Ertz is irrelevant in this trade and you're just doing a Swift for Kelsey trade straight up, I think they have very similar value rest of the season in terms of fantasy point production going forward, right? So if you know the rest of your team, if your team could sustain trading away Swift, then yeah, let's go for it, because I think Kelsey and Swift have identical value going forward in terms of fantasy point contribution. B-Rob or Jacoby Myers in the flex this week, it depends on the format. If you're playing in a full PPR, I'd probably lean towards Jacoby. Otherwise, I'd probably go towards B-Rob in other scenarios, standard half PPR. 1 and 5, I picked up Foreman. Do I drop Rashad White in Madison now since I have to fill for Hurts in the Bills defense? Yeah, you probably, I mean, if you have to, then yes, you do. As of right now, it's obviously a question, AGZ, as to whether or not you have Fournette and Cook. If you have Fournette and Cook, I would just drop Foreman at that point and just say, forget about it. Give me a better defense and a bye week, pick up and stream option for quarterback and defense going forward. D-Hop trade value. I need an RB1. If you're going to trade D-Hop away right now, like first and foremost, immediately, and you need a running back 1, probably Mixon, right? I think Mixon is something that you can very easily get. I think you may be able to go after Dalvin Cook and maybe steal him. But those are the guys that are at that lower end that you could be probably in the conversation of yoinking away from their fantasy managers. Okay, so somebody sent in a question. Ichigo says, start 2, Deontay, Sutton, Dobbs, or Myers. At the current moment, I have Dobbs and Sutton as my primary 1-2 there. Prolific sent in a question, said, started Eno in the flex. Do I start Foreman for McCaffrey? No, you play McCaffrey if you place this week. Especially when Foreman has to take on the Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't really like that. Johnny Not Bravo says, is Foreman worth the flex this week against Tampa Bay? Probably not. No, again, like I was mentioning earlier, the next 4 weeks, actually the next 6 weeks for them is brutal. They take on Tampa Bay, then Atlanta, then they take on Cincinnati, Atlanta, then Baltimore. Then in December, they have the Seahawks, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Detroit Lions. Those 3 weeks in December are going to be the time where we want to utilize Foreman if he's still the back by that moment. Again, you never know. We may see Akers traded to the Carolina Panthers. We may see, I don't know, something happen. You know, Chuba Hubbard may take the job. Somebody might get hurt. We're going to have to wait and see by the time we get there. Abide Los Angeles says, drop ETN for Carolina running back? No, absolutely not. Is Moore going to be a value? DJ Moore should have, I'm hoping that I'm legitimately praying that the Green Bay Packers trade for DJ Moore. That's all I'm going to say. As of right now, you're picking him up only under the implication that he may be traded. If he doesn't get traded, I don't know if he has much value. Nathan Dennison says, running low on wide receivers. I have Jefferson, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, and Waddle. Wait, you're running low on wide receivers. Those are 4 studs. But I only have 1 wide receiver on my bench. Okay, that's what you mean. You don't have as much depth. What's a good stash for your depth? I mean, who's available? Is Wan'Dale Robinson available? I don't mind going ahead and picking him up. If OBJ's available, I don't mind picking him up. Those are guys that I'm looking at. Herman Vasquez sent in a question. Didn't update immediately, so let me see if Herman's here. Herman Vasquez says, 12-team league standard. Should I drop Bateman for Foreman? If you need running back help, I would say, yeah, probably. But if you don't need like immediate, like if you're not desperate enough to where you're like, okay, Andrew, I don't have any running backs to start this weekend. My best options are legitimately starting like Michael Carter and Mike Boone. Yeah, I would pick him up and make that start at this week. Map Collector says, sorry, did I miss we dropping Elijah Mitchell? No, I don't think I want to yet. Again, he's sitting in the injured reserve spot. So unless you have something that's better off in your injured reserve, I wouldn't. Let's see here. Foreman or Hubbard rest of the season. Also, how much do I spend? Okay, listen, it depends how much you have. If I am going to drop Fab on one of these 2 running backs, I am not spending a lot. Quite frankly, I would much rather, if I'm, okay, this is what I would do. I would let the rest of your league mates rip and just unclip. I'm not interested in it. Like at this point, if I have to spend more than 4 or 5 Fab for one of these guys, no thank you. I would rather put in a $1 bid for Hubbard and hope that no one picks him up rather than spend 10 or more Fab. Let's say, for example, I have 100 Fab in a season. I'm not using 10% of my Fab on Donta Foreman. I'm not doing it. Not interested. Because, quite frankly, this offense as a whole, it's not going to be in a position to succeed. I mean, it really isn't. What does it say? You skipped me and Sam? No, I didn't skip you guys yet. I just haven't gotten to you guys, Maz. Oh, no, I did actually. Wait, where were you guys? Oh, okay, I did. Hold up. Okay, here we go. Hold up. My bad. Thank you. Sam said rest of the season, full PPR, Godwin or Waddle? Waddle 1,000%. And then Maz, you said thoughts on Christian McCaffrey trade effects on other San Francisco running backs? Again, I'm of the opinion that from what we've seen from Kyle Shanahan in his career as the head coach of the 49ers, he always likes to use 2 running backs. So my assumption is that, yes, Jeff Wilson and him are going to split until Elijah Mitchell comes back. And once Elijah Mitchell comes back, Elijah Mitchell will get some rushing attempts in this backfield, but they're not going to be good enough to where you can start them without the implication of them having goal line carries and having touchdowns kind of save their weeks. So as of right now, they're just handcuffs, purely. With upside, because, Christian McCaffrey has, health concerns, and we know, look, I'm going to say it like it's a meme to an extent. So don't take it so seriously. 49ers running backs have a curse. We know this. We've seen it year over year. Always 49ers running backs go down with injuries. I don't know why, but they do. And the fact that now we have Christian McCaffrey as a 49er running back, right? and Christian McCaffrey hasn't stayed healthy in a very long time, I'm not saying anything. I'm just, guys, hold these guys as potential, handcuffs. Be very careful. There may be a curse. There may be something in the water at the facility that keeps getting these boys hurt. But I don't know why Raheem Mostert kept going down with injuries. I don't know why Elijah Mitchell keeps going down with injuries. Jeff Wilson, he himself has had himself a handful of injuries in his career that has prevented him from being the RB1 in this backfield in prior seasons. So just be careful there. Be careful. Okay, after Sam's or Maz, thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. Appreciate that. Jay said skipped Jay also. Jay, where's your question, my man? Let me see here. I'll scroll back up in a moment, okay? So, as for the follow-up here, Real G Squared, thank you very much for the donation, says, 10-team PPR, I'm 4-2. Suggestions for my roster, we have Hurts, we have Swift, we have Breece Hall, we have Aaron Jones, we have A.J. Dillon, Rashad White, we have Jefferson, Pittman, Waddle. Okay, you got a really damn good team, dude. I mean, holy moly. You have Muth as your tight end, Eagles defense. You have the Dolphins defense and Matt Ryan on the bench for starting this week. Okay. My number one priority in terms of what you do going forward is dude, I don't even want to make any moves. Like, here's the thing, G Squared. You have 4 really good wide receivers. You have Jefferson, Waddle, Olave, and Pittman. Like, you have really good wide receivers. Sell one of them. Who am I going to sell? It's probably Pittman or Olave because I want Waddle and Jefferson the rest of the year. So I'm looking to try to sell one of those guys and maybe have a huge come up at running back. Like let's say, for example, I'm able to take, moving Olave, dude, the guy's 15 points. Like, if I can't move Olave plus DeAndre Swift, no, actually, I don't even know if I want to make that trade now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe we just move Pittman. We move Pittman and Aaron Jones and try to go get a running back like Josh Jacobs or something. Or somebody better, maybe Jonathan Taylor, and see if we can sneak away with one of those. That's what I'm thinking immediately, because you gotta make a move here. You got so much depth. Now you can keep your depth, and then just on your bye weeks, you're never really affected, and you're good to go. You probably never drop a week because you have so many stud players. But at this moment, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, bro, you could really make some upgrades with some of the guys you have on this team. Sam sent in another question. Says McCaffrey and Mike Williams for Cup and ETN. McCaffrey, Mike Williams, Cup, ETN. I think there's a lot of risk with ETN. Enough to where it has me hesitant on the trade overall. Because if you had asked me this question yesterday when Christian McCaffrey was on the Panthers, I would say no. I'd say I don't want Cup and ETN. I'd rather just keep McCaffrey because I know what I'm getting out of him. And quite frankly, I don't want to be too quick to the trigger in the idea of trading away Christian McCaffrey just yet because I don't know what he's going to be. I mean, again, it's all assumptions. No one can guarantee you what Christian McCaffrey is going to be at this moment. So I don't know if I want to make that move just yet. I mean, I really like Christian McCaffrey and I really like Cooper Kupp as guys that if I'm picking between the two, I'd rather have Kupp. But is Mike Williams going to outproduce ETN? If you have enough receiver depth to fill in there and you need another running back to fill in for McCaffrey once you've moved him off, it's not a bad trade. But again, ETN's really risky in that move. If Mark Andrews misses, do you rank Isaiah high? Wait, what happened to Mark Andrews? Is Mark Andrews not practicing this week? That'd be the first I've heard of it, legitimately. Because let's go to the okay, Ravens. Mark Andrews did not practice both Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, if Mark Andrews doesn't practice, I think Isaiah Likely is, without a doubt in my mind, top 10 tight end this week. Top 10. So I would treat him as such. Let's see here. Nature, what are you on about, my man? I think you've been spamming a lot. Let's go ahead and let's put you to the test, my guy. What are we doing here? Come follow us. Oh, my man, I'm sorry. You got it twisted. You thought this was, hey, let me just self-promote. Nah. Sorry, my man. No free shout-outs. No free shout-outs. Sorry, my man. Maybe next time. All right, moving on. Drop Zay Jones for Cam Akers, OBJ, or keep Jones in a full PPR. I'd rather have OBJ, quite frankly, Joey. Gallo says, does Christian McCaffrey play this week? Unfortunately, I think he does. And as to what capacity, I don't know. So what do we do with him? We probably play him and pray. I mean, that's legitimately what we're probably going to have to do. Choose one of the... Wait, what? Choose one out of who a who, what a what, or such and such. I prefer such and such. Your call, Andrew. I'm 5-1. My is my record. I have Aaron Jones plus Curtis Sam. If it's my call to make this trade, all right, let me think about this. With the full identity of your team being McCaffrey, Jones, Henderson, Harris, Patterson, Dobbins, Diggs, Waddle, Curtis Samuel, Dobbs, If it's my trade to make, legitimately, and you're like, Sean, if you're like Andrew, just give me the word and I'll make the trade, I'd make the trade. Give me Zeke, give me Metcalf, rest of the season. I think the 49ers trade capital says a lot about what they plan to do with Christian McCaffrey. Of course, yeah, you don't bring in Christian McCaffrey with a 2024 second, third, and fourth round pick and a 2023 second, third, and fourth round pick and a 2024 fifth round pick. You don't bring him in unless you're going to utilize him to the maximum capacity. But again, their scheme has never been about passing the ball to their running backs. That's my only fear. You know what I mean? Do I start Gallup or Reynolds this week? Gallup, because Reynolds has not played or practiced at all this week. He's injured right now. Hey, Andrew, in a Superflex league, I have Josh Allen, Stafford, Brissett. Should I trade Harris for Matthew Stafford? Sorry, Harris and Matthew Stafford for Dak. Harris is a depth position on my team, and I have those are my options. So the only reason, okay, here's the thing, Steven. Do you believe in your mind that after you make this trade and after Dak Prescott has a really good week here against the Detroit Lions, you could turn around and trade him once again? Can you trade Dak Prescott the week after for another player? Because Josh Allen is going to be your guy rest of the season. And I don't really want to make a, hey, I'm trading away my depth running back just for 1 week quarterback. So unless you know that you can trade away Dak Prescott immediately after in the following week because of his upcoming performance, then yeah, that's the only time I'd ever make that move. Alrighty. Let's see here. Really quickly, I gotta check something, guys. I gotta check the Lakers game. I gotta check the score. See what LeBron's been doing today. The Lakers got bombed on, huh? They lost to the Clippers and they're now 0-2. What did LeBron do today? 20 and 10. Anthony Davis at 25. I mean, that's not a bad day for Anthony Davis. Let me go ahead. I want to check because on Prize Picks, I did make a couple entries with Anthony Davis first half fantasy points. I got to check if he did anything there. Let me check real quick. I did. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me check. Is that Anthony Davis cashing in for me? Let me see your past entries. I know DeAndre Hopkins cashed in for you, boy. Anthony Davis, no. Dude, no way, huh? The number was 23.5 first half fantasy points. He got 22.8. Of course. Brutal, to say the very least. Again, just want to give you guys a heads up. If you guys haven't, okay, really quickly, let me get to Corey Olson's question. Corey Olson says, what is this? Rate my team full PPR. We have Lamar, we have Henry, we have Swift. Okay, you have 3 good players there automatically. Pittman's great. Waddle's fantastic. Taysom Hill at tight end is honestly looking okay for now. Until the future, you're going to probably have to find somebody else to fill that position. Cowboys as your defense, and you have, I'm assuming, the Dallas kicker as well. You have Maher. Yep, okay. Goddard, London, Harris, Jamal Williams, Robinson, ETN. Okay, so at this point, I think your biggest necessity is tight end. So if you can go out, make a move, try to bring in a tight end, whether it is an Njoku, whether it is Darren Waller. I know Darren Waller's injured this week. Probably not going to play, even from his own mouth. I think Darren Waller's probably the biggest buy low tight end right now. Russ went 0 for 10. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Bro, if they don't trade him tomorrow, I swear. Did he go 0 for 10? Let me click this. Let me see. He went 0 for 11, bro. No. He's killing our team, yo. I think Rams are going to go after Hunt. Bro, if they go after Hunt, D'Ernest Johnson gets a little bit of an upgrade there, doesn't he? There'll be a lot of that'll be fantastic. Again, what I wanted to mention before we went over this. Anyway, Corey, listen, Swift and Henry, Lamar, they don't move off your team. Neither does Pittman and Waddle. Taysom is the biggest X factor per se. ETN will eventually and hopefully. Wait, what is this? Wait, you have Goddard. Oh, okay, you're fine. My apologies. I didn't even see that. You have Goddard, so you're fine. You don't need to make a move there. ETN's your flex. You can either flex Harris in a given week as well. London's kind of that guy for right now, but we're gonna have to figure it out. You get Cordero Patterson in a bit. I mean, at this point, the biggest move that you could theoretically make is probably moving like. I honestly, I don't see any massive upgrades you can make, because unless someone really wants a player off your team and is willing to take a downgrade, like they're gonna take Swift off your hands and they're gonna give you Jonathan Taylor. Like unless someone's gonna do something like that, I don't know if you can actually make an immediate upgrade at this moment. So I kind of leave it as is, you know. Anyway, what I was trying to mention earlier was in regards to this. Where are we at? Where do I have it? This. If you guys haven't checked out Prize Picks and you want to continue to play daily fantasy, you can go ahead and sign up today using promo code Andrew. Let's go ahead. Let's move this YouTube thing out of my face. Again, earlier today, I was messing around with fantasy points. Do they have fantasy? Well, I mean, you could even do this, but they had a fantasy point option. I'm assuming they're going to pop that up. Because I play so much fantasy, I'm always looking for like, okay, what can I do with overall fantasy score? You know what I mean? Like, for example, the way that Prize Picks works specifically in terms of their NFL entries is full PPR basis. Like, if you're going to turn around and you're going to tell me that there's no way, okay, let's see here. What is an absolute steal of an option? I mean, these two numbers, okay, Pollard and Zeke only at 12 and 9. I think they both could very easily surpass that. Easily. Because they play Detroit. I mean, they play Detroit, guys. What else do I need to say in that regard? Alec Pierce, 5 catches, 50 yards is all he needs in a full PPR to surpass 10 points. I mean, I think that's very, very accomplishable. What else do we have here? I mean, I'm obviously assuming that Lazard is going to have himself another big game here. I think 12.5 is kind of shy for what he's been doing. Yeah, I mean, look at this. He's definitely been putting over that number for a good streak of games, and I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon. I mean, Leonard Fournette is a receiving machine. So, yeah, as of late, obviously, he's been able to surpass that number. But again, if you guys want to go ahead, put together some entries via Prize Picks, you can use promo code Andrew. There's a link down in the description for those of you who want to continue to play daily fantasy. Check that out today. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead, close off that, bring back the YouTube chat, and continue answering questions. Let me see here. A couple more donations that were sent in really quickly. Let's move this down here. Man, if only Anthony Davis was able to get a little bit more fantasy points in that first half, I would have had myself a nice little juice up there. All right. What time is it? All right. So we're almost about 2 hours in. In about 10, 15 minutes here, we're going to be closing shop because I got to go work on videos for tomorrow. So I do appreciate you guys stopping by. I'm going to be answering a couple more questions here, and then that'll conclude today's video. Greatly appreciate for those of you who have stopped on by tonight. Again, we typically live stream after every Thursday night game, after every Monday night game, and we live stream Saturday afternoons, 1 to 3 p.m. starter sit questions, and we also live stream every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with updated rankings on screen. So, again, 4 live streams a week. If you guys are interested in just kind of hanging out, asking questions, getting them answered, hopefully, if I'm able to get to them at that point, it's available. Thank you. So, Sam sent in another question. He had said, oh yeah, we had already talked about that, Sam. Yeah, I was pretty perplexed by the question because it's definitely not easy. AV says, fab for Foreman. Yeah, like I was talking about with someone earlier, unless I'm going to give 5 fab, like I don't want to use more than 5% of my total fab. So if you have 200 total at the start of the season, I'm willing to use 10. If you have 100 total, I'm using 5 because quite frankly, I'm not going to be using Donta Foreman. I mean, I guess it depends on the dependency of him. If you're desperate for a running back, then you have to make the move, right? But if you're not desperate for him, I'm using 5 fab. I'm not going all out. I don't believe this is a team and or a player that I can go all out on for fab. But you do give context to your team. You have Aaron Jones, you have ETN, you have Pollard, you have Jamal, you have Khalil Herbert. I mean, at this point with your team, you don't have a third running back that is a solidified guy. Now, the assumption is that Pollard and Jamal Williams can do that. But again, I mean, looking at your squad, I'm probably sitting in a position where I'm not willing to break the bank. I don't want to unclip the entire fab amount just for Donta Foreman. I'm much rather send in a $1 bid for Chuba Hubbard and hope that by the time we get to December, that's when he takes over. Falcon Beast 9 says Gibson, Zay Jones, Foreman, or Garrett Wilson full PPR. Of the potential options that you mentioned, did Zay Jones even play last week, guys? Because I know Marvin Jones was out. How much did Zay Jones even play? I know he had a decent amount of points, but what does his snap count look like? Let me check here. Let's go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, so Zay Jones played about 98% of the snaps last week. Yeah, I play Zay Jones out of that group in a full PPR scoring format. Brogan O'Leary says half PPR, Hawkinson, Juju, Curtis Samuel, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Of the mentioned players, most likely leaning in the direction of going Donovan Peoples-Jones. Ramiro sends in a question, says full PPR. Any moves I should make? AJ Brown, Sutton, Devonta Smith, Gallup, Pickens, Curtis Samuel. Okay, so of the group of wide receivers, having two Philadelphia wide receivers is pretty risky, but I mean, again, they've both been playing well, so I'm not complaining. Sutton's a little bit inconsistent, but you'll be fine because you have Gallup on the up and up coming forward here. You have Dalvin Cook, Ramondre Stevenson. You have A.J. Dillon. Okay, so what I would do first and foremost is I would try to move Ramondre Stevenson for one of the following running backs that I'm going to mention, okay? Now, some of these running backs you'll never be able to get for Ramondre, but I'm just going to give you the full accounting idea of what I want. I would be willing to trade Ramondre for Eckler, Chubb, Barkley, McCaffrey, Fournette, Hall, Jacobs, Henry. I'd even be willing to move him for Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon. I'm at the point right now where I'm willing to even move him for Aaron Jones, Dameon Pierce. Who else is movable? If you can get any of those players in exchange for Ramondre Stevenson, I think that will definitely help you rest of the way. Miles Sanders is the only one that I'm questioning, and I don't think I would pull that off. I think I would wait and just hold Ramondre at that point. But yeah, that's pretty much the only move that I would probably suggest there, Ramiro. Because again, even getting Sanders, like let's say you were to do it, I don't love it because you already have A.J. Dillon and Devonta Smith as well. So those are the only other backs that I would go with. Andrew Faber says, I traded Waddle, Brian Robinson for CeeDee Lamb and ETN. Is it a good trade? I'm okay with that. At this point, I prefer ETN over Brian Robinson rest of the season, and I have Waddle, and I think I have, let me remember here. Yes, I have Lamb just slightly ahead of Waddle rest of the season. So yeah, it's a pretty good trade to say the very least there. All right. I'm going to just call it there. No more donation questions. Let's cut them off. No more. I'm going to go to the chat. We're going to answer as many questions as we can as a rapid fire before we end today's stream. And then we're going to close it out. Okay, guys? Here we go. Ernesto says, would you trade Justin Jefferson for one of my running backs? My running backs are Pearson. Okay, so would you trade Justin Jefferson for a wide receiver or a running back? We have that. Lost Javonte, lost Penny. My wide receivers are that and that. I'm 5-1 at this current moment in time. At this point, if you're going to trade Justin Jefferson for a running back and a wide receiver, you better be bringing back a lot of help because Justin Jefferson is a machine in a full PPR format, and it's tough to get an equivalent value for him. Like if you're going to go ahead and bring back DeAndre Swift and Jalen Waddle, by all means, let's do it, right? But like, I don't know if anybody's giving you that kind of value. Hi, Andrew. Looking at your RB ratings, I'm thinking of starting Mixon over Chubb. I mean, that's your listen, if you want to do that, go for it. At this point, Andrew, I don't know if I want to do that. I think I'd probably just still play Chubb there. Deshaun Jackson, by the way, Deshaun is spelled differently, but it's okay. Traded to the Ravens. He didn't get traded. He got signed. All of this is wrong. Thoughts at this point? He's pretty much a deep ball threat. That's it. Lamar Jackson is amongst the top in the league in terms of deep passes, 20 or more yards down the field. They want to continue to incorporate that. He is not really valuable at all. I'm not picking him up. Andrew, I think if anything, it just hurts the value of Bateman, or actually, no, it probably doesn't, because if Deshaun Jackson's pulling coverage, it could help. But it does take away opportunities in terms of the deep ball passing game from Duvernay. Andrew, I'm 1-5. I have Kyler, I have Brees, I have da-da-da-da. Okay, should I trade James Robinson and Gabe Davis for Etienne and Myers? I mean, I think Gabe Davis is so ahead of Myers right now that I think Gabe Davis is the point I get stuck on here. If I knew that Etienne could be the guy, and without a doubt in my mind is going to be not only on the ground through the air but get the touchdowns, I'd immediately hammer this trade. But because I can't guarantee it and I'm only speculating, I feel like I just have to keep Gabe Davis. J-Rob or Clyde for Christian McCaffrey? Neither. I think I'm just playing McCaffrey this weekend if he plays. Andrew says Eckler's my other running back. Oh, Eckler's your other running back. I mean, again, I would start all three of them, but again, do what you got to do, my man. I would still play Chubb. I'm 1-5 right now. I have Burrow, I have Eckler, I have Hall, I have Debo, Godwin, Pitts, Higbee, Kenneth Walker. What move should I make? I mean, honestly, you got 3 stud running backs. I'm not moving any of them. You got Debo, you got Godwin. I mean, to be honest, what I do with Debo is I move him for Higgins right now. I keep Godwin's as is. I keep Pitts, Higbee's combo there. Burrows is fine. I mean, you're fine there then. That's the only difference that I'd probably kind of change up there. Andrew, don't know who to sit. Start 3, JT, Fournette, Jacobs, and Brees. That is a really good question. At this point, I'm starting Josh Jacobs against Houston. I'm starting Fournette against Carolina. And I'm most likely... I'm starting Jonathan Taylor over Brees Hall because I have him higher in my rankings. I have Jonathan Taylor as my number 7. I have Brees Hall just right behind him. Should I trade Sutton for a wide receiver, or who should I trade him for? If you can trade Sutton for T. Higgins, I would. If you can trade Sutton for Michael Pittman, I would. Those are the kind of guys I'm looking for at that point. Should I trade Dalvin Cook for Aaron Jones and Aaron Jones for DeAndre Swift and DeAndre Hopkins? Maybe Swift and CeeDee Lamb. If you can get Swift and CeeDee Lamb, I'd be willing to make that trade. Hi, Andrew. We have Brees, J-Rob, Waddle, Hopkins, Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks. Should I trade James Robinson and Gabriel Davis for Etienne and Myers? Listen, I already talked about this, but now that I'm looking at your entire team as to what you have in a full context, you have D-Hop, you have Brandon Cooks that can survive there. You don't need... You know what? Let's make the trade, Ravi. You're 1-5. You don't have Gabe Davis this week. You need a win this week. And quite frankly, if Etienne becomes the guy, your season is saved. If he doesn't, your season's already lost, right? Because you're almost out of it. So yeah, let's roll with it. Stephen George says, you may have you misunderstood my question. In a super flex, I have Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, and Brissett. Should I trade Damian Harris and Matthew Stafford for Dak? It's a super flex. I understand now. Absolutely make that trade. Thank you for the correction there, Steven. Zay Jones or Pickens this week? Probably Zay Jones there. I traded away Higgins, Odell Beckham, and Henderson for Waddle and Amari Cooper. That's fantastic, Andy. Deshaun Jackson traded to the Ravens. He's better. He wasn't traded, guys. He wasn't on a team to begin with to be traded. He was a free agent. Zay Jones or Donovan Peoples-Jones? Give me Donovan Peoples-Jones. What combo can I get for Jonathan Taylor? If you're going to trade away Jonathan Taylor, you better get back a giant haul. I mean, legitimately, like, I want guys that are top 5 in each position. That's what I want. I don't know if I'm going to get that, but like I was talking about earlier, if you can go get DeAndre Swift and Jalen Waddle for Jonathan Taylor, that's what I'd love to see. I want to see that kind of haul in return because I know what Jonathan Taylor's capable of. He's going to come back and start putting up 25 a week, and he's going to have to be worth giving me a lot more if you're going to take him off my hands. You know what I mean? Jay says, missed me, dog. What do you mean? What did you ask, Jay? Because I can't search your name, my guy. The word Jay is literally everywhere, or the letter J is everywhere. You have to type your question, Jay. This is what I was talking about earlier, man. I can't find your question if I can't see it. So just type it and I'll get to you. Drop Robert Woods for Jamal Williams? Yes, I would. Hi, Andrew. Damian Pierce and Devonta Smith for T. Higgins and Travis Etienne? No. Just keep Damian Pierce. Jacoby Myers for DJ Moore. I probably only want DJ Moore if you're assuming he's going to get traded. Sutton faces Sauce Gardner this week. Sketchy quarterback situation. Wandell over Sutton. I don't know if Wandell Robinson is going to even play more this week, so that's only my biggest concern. He only played 21% of snaps, which honestly is not enough to consider him a startable option in a consistent weekly basis. If the numbers go up by a significant margin to 70% and so do the targets, then it could be a conversation. But for right now, it's tough to make those jumps. What are the chances that Bateman plays this week and is a must start? Probably not. I mean, again, from what we've seen, if Mark Andrews is out, of course he could have value, assuming he's healthy, but I don't even know if Bateman is healthy. That's the thing. I'm looking at it right now. He was limited in both days this week. He could get a full practice in by Friday and then be valuable enough to play, but it's tough to see. Should I trade Dameon Pierce for A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift? At that point, yes, I would be willing to make that trade. Give me A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift for Dameon Pierce and Hopkins. Odds that Christian McCaffrey picks up impactful. I mean, listen, just make sure that you keep your handcuffs, which is Jeff Wilson Jr. and Elijah Mitchell. We're hoping that does not happen for Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is a fantasy legend. Okay, we want him to stay as healthy as he possibly can, but you got to be insured. You got to make sure that you have potential options to keep these guys healthy because you never know. Or at least keep your roster healthy and going forward. Need some help with some trains lined up. Cook for Alvin Kamara. Also, should I trade A.J. Brown for T. Higgins and ETN? I'd be willing to make this trade. I'll take Travis Etienne and T. Higgins. And Cook for Kamara, I'd probably just keep Cook rest of the season. Should I make any waivers for Chuba Hubbard and drop Madison? I'm a Dalvin Cook manager at this moment. At this point, I would just keep Madison just in case because I just don't want to risk it. Where's Jay? Jay, where's your question, my guy? I'm waiting for it. Jay, where's your question? Where did Jay go? Jay was just here. I don't know where Jay went. All right, a couple more questions here. Kenyon Drake for Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. That's a good one. Dobbs, Ayuk, or Pickens? I'm probably leaning towards Ayuk. But Dobbs by Sunday could be ending up taking that spot. Drop MVS for OBJ? Yes. Is it safe to say that to start Nathaniel Hackett this week? I would drop Nathaniel Hackett. Honestly, I think they should probably fire him. I know it's early, but I would fire him. McCaffrey gives the 49ers their missing pieces. They have a great chance to make the Super Bowl now. I mean, I hope so. Of course, whether they make the Super Bowl is 100% on the back of Jimmy Garoppolo. So he's got to play out of his mind to get him there. Alec Pierce or Christian Kirk? Christian Kirk this week. Wilson or Montgomery in a non-PPR? Wilson as of right now. I love the content. Would you trade Fournette and Everett for ETN and Godwin? I'm strong at running back, weak at wide receiver. I still wouldn't make this trade. I think Fournette's far too valuable, to be honest. I have a hard time making that deal. I mean, I guess if you're super strong at running back, I don't know what else you have, Kenny. If you've got monsters, just across the board, then sure, we can make that deal. But I think Fournette should be traded for something else. Like, if you're going to move Fournette, who in my opinion right now, full PPR should be a top 5 back, right? I mean, that's where his value pretty much sits at, catching the ball 6-7 times a game. I better be getting back Tyreek Hill, like straight up. I better be getting back stud wide receiver options. I want back CeeDee Lamb or Devontae Adams. I don't want anybody else. I want top tier options. Drop London for DJ Moore. I think we talked about this earlier. I'd only do that if you're assuming DJ Moore is going to be traded. We're praying he gets traded to Green Bay. Shoot, did I miss it? Foreman or Chuba Hubbard? Foreman would be the immediate pickup. If, in fact, Foreman is to lose his job by the time we get to December, the only reason I mentioned December is because that's when they play against Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Detroit, which are 3 matchups that I really like regardless of who's playing running back. So maybe right now, if you're in desperate need of a running back, you pick up Foreman. If he holds the job till December, fantastic. Otherwise, Chuba Hubbard is kind of that handcuff and kind of wait and see if the younger man can outplay the veteran. Start 2, Dobbs, Ayuk, Pickens. Yeah, it's Dobbs and Ayuk. Goff or Jimmy Garoppolo. I had Jimmy Garoppolo already higher than him this week. Niners can't stay healthy. Keep the handcuffs. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Would you trade Breece Hall for Deebo Samuel? No, I would keep Breece Hall. Fournette, Henry, and Hunt are my running backs. Yeah, no, I would 1,000% just play Fournette, Henry, and Hall every single week and not worry about it. Don't worry about the headache of having to worry about what you're doing with running back or flex. What do you think about Joe Burrow? And would What could I get for Joe Burrow and Henderson? Depends. You got to go find someone who needs a quarterback and needs a running back. And if you can go ahead and yoink off the best player on their team, then we do it, right? Breece Hall and Eckler are my running backs, says Kenny. Kenny, what was your prior question? I totally missed it. I'm just going to keep going because we got to pack up here soon. Higgins for ETN and Sutton. I'm okay with it. I don't love it, but I'm okay with it. I understand the impetus of the entire trade. It's to get that running back depth, but still being able to recoup at wide receiver. I'm fine with that. Where do you rank Waller rest of the season? Once he's back and healthy, I think he's a top 7 guy every single week. Thoughts on Kenyon Drake as the RB1 of the Ravens? For this week, he'll have value. For next week, I mean, I can't tell you about next week. For this week, sure, he'll have value, though. All right. Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins? This week, it's Jonathan Taylor, Esteban. No problem. All right, guys. That's going to cover it. That's going to cut it out. That's going to be the final of it. I do appreciate you guys joining us. Typically, I don't like ending a stream when I have 500 people watching, but I've got to go start working on videos for tomorrow. So Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey rest of the season? Jonathan Taylor. No problem. Easy. I would take that. So at this moment, I'm leaning in the direction of Hopkins is a top 10 wide receiver rest season. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that on Wednesday. I mentioned that earlier today in the video I posted. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys for coming out today, supporting the channel by clicking the like button. Greatly do appreciate that. Again, if you guys want to continue to play fantasy football at your fingertips, you can check out Prize Picks today. When you sign up and make a first-time deposit using promo code Andrew, you'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. Someone just said Pittman or Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would absolutely rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown. And while you're at Prize Picks, go ahead, go over to Amon-Ra St. Brown and take the more in terms of his overall receptions this upcoming weekend, because there's a very good chance that Chark and Josh Reynolds are going to be out. So both those guys out leads to a lot of receptions for Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow we'll have a video out, Saturday live stream, Sunday live stream. Thank you everybody for watching. We will have updated rankings on Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time from the running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, kicker, and defensive positions for half PPR scoring format, 4 point per passing touchdown. So if you are wondering who to play and you didn't get an answer in regards to today, I apologize. Again, there's one of me and many of you. So hopefully we can get to your question by Saturday live stream or potentially Sunday morning, as the rankings are on screen like they are every Sunday morning. Thank you everybody for watching. Good night. And I'll see you guys next time. Let's go ahead. Let's cue the music and close out today's video. See you guys. Peace.